Welcome to Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff, and we have a very special edition of the live show today. We usually only go live on game days, big events, Tuesday live shows, but we decided that we are going to do a special thing exactly 1 week away from the NFL draft, and that is a live 3-round mock draft. So, for the people joining us, all 18 channels we have here at Chat Sports that can go live are live, and we will be doing a full 3-round mock draft where we react to other channels, other hosts making picks for their teams. For the teams that we do not cover, there will be a simulation for that pick. And then when it comes to the Dolphins' 3 selections in the 3 rounds at 13, 48, and 98, we will make the pick for Miami as we are the GM, as we are Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel to potentially add a player to this roster. It is going to be a lot of fun on today's show, a lot of give and take, a lot of conversation between me and you guys in the chat. It's going to be a ton of fun, and I am excited to do this for the first time ever here as a company at Chat Sports, where we have 18-plus live shows. First pick will be happening at 1:15 Central Time, 2:15 Eastern Time. That means the first overall pick will be made in 27 and a half minutes, and we're going to have a lot of fun leading up to that moment and then during the draft. We're basically also going to do a full run-through as if this is the real NFL draft. So you'll see what will happen next week when we're live for the actual NFL draft, the graphics, the whole 9 yards. But as always, start it off. Shout out your city for me down in the comments section as we are 27 minutes away until that mock draft. Let me know where the real ones are watching from. We got 50 people early here. I know it's a little bit early for some people out there in terms of timing. It's 1:45 on the East Coast, but either way, let me know where you're watching from. What's up, Jonathan Soto in Melbourne, Florida? Tyson's in Miami. Bill is in Syracuse. Yes, I agree, is in Columbus, Ohio. Jesse is in Utah. Santiago. What is this? What is this place, Justin? Do you know this place? Holly? Is that how you say it? I don't know. John is in Lynchburg, Virginia. Building is in Connecticut. Shout out to all of you guys for tuning in here. Listen, we're going to talk about the draft. We're going to talk about what Miami should do. We're also going to do a Q&A here after the mock draft. So once we do all 3 rounds and we close our live mock draft simulation with everyone here at Chat Sports, we are going to do a Q&A. So hopefully you guys stick around for that. BZ is in Dallas. Lake City, Florida for MM Miller. It's Hialeah. Hialeah. It's in Florida. I've never been in that part of Florida. I usually stick to the Fort Myers, Miami region. Appreciate that, Jonathan Soto. Santiago, thank you as well. Pony Boy's in West Palm Beach. Listen, you learn something new every day, folks. You really do. And that's the beauty of life. It's the beauty of life. Oh, look who's in the building. My guy, Jason Wildcat Smith, one of the legends here at Dolphins Today. How are you doing, my guy, Jason Smith? Ignacio is in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Electric. Richard is in Cornwall, but also asking where will Jalen Ramsey get traded to. That could be something asked on our Q&A after the live mock draft that we'll get into in 25 minutes. That will be the first pick. The Titans are on the clock. I think we know who the Titans are ultimately going to take. Listen, that's the interesting thing about this mock draft as well, is it could be a wild card. We don't know what's going to happen. Like, obviously, when it comes to the real NFL draft, we kind of have an idea of where things are heading. But I don't know what's going through the heads of these other bums here at Chat Sports. Like, I don't know. Sources are telling me that we might see Abdul Carter go off the board at number 2 when it's been rumored to be Travis Hunter at number 2. So I don't know. It's interesting. We'll talk about who I hope today and on the real NFL draft is available for Miami at 13. We'll go through my top 5 players for the Dolphins at 13. We'll also look at my top 8 players for the Dolphins that could potentially be there at pick number 48. No guarantee, but this I'll show you my board as well. Either way, though, before we get more and talk about the Dolphins and into our mock draft, I do got to show some love to our official ticketing partner of Dolphins Today. That is Game Time. If you want to go see an NBA playoff game in your local area or go see any event in your local area, make sure you get your tickets with Game Time. They make it so easy to get tickets fast and easy, even for hard-to-get playoff seats. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. Last-minute deals save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy show, theater events, and everything in between. Use the all-in pricing feature to see your total price of your ticket up front with no surprise fees at checkout. You also can get a full panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly where you are sitting. Whether it's to the court, to the field, to the stage, you know exactly what you will be looking at when you actually get to the arena and stadium. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, as we work closer and closer to this mock draft getting fired up, we are exactly 7 days away from the NFL draft. I'm fired up for it. But I want to know, let me know who you want in your ideal world. Ideal. I don't care if they're supposed to go in the top 10. Who should the Dolphins draft to pick number 13? Who should the Dolphins pick at number 13? Appreciate the nice comment, M.M. Miller. Building fins up, is this like other show hosts making the picks? Correct. So we will have 1 minute. What we're doing here at the company is we're having 1 minute for every team to be on the clock. So we're going to try to go quick. It's not going to be a full 5 or 7 minutes. But 1 minute, we will see who other teams pick. I have an idea of who I want. I have an idea that the person that I want is going to be there as well. I don't envision anybody else taking my guy. We'll talk about who that is here in a second. But either way, Richard's saying Will Johnson. Yes, I agree, says Will Johnson. Building fins up, says Will Johnson. David says Armand Membu, Tyler Warren, Jahdae Barron. Bill Lyon says Will Johnson. M. Miller says Will Campbell. Anthony believes we're going to trade down. I don't see them trading down. I don't. Tyson saying Will Johnson, Yes, I agree. Sounds like Barron is your guy. Well, you'll have to see. We'll showcase my big board for Miami in a bit here. Building says Will Johnson, but I believe he will be gone. We'll see. I will also add this. Omar Kelly reported today and tweeted out that he's been hearing that Will Johnson is out of the top 10 right now, according to NFL people he's talked to, and he believes Jahdae Barron will actually go ahead of Will Johnson. That'd be an intriguing possibility. That'd be intriguing. Luigi Cherry says Jahdae Barron. Jonathan Soto says Nick Emenwari. Steve says Jahdae Barron. David prefers Barron over Johnson. Ponyboy says Mason Graham. Well, I tell you what, in a world where Miami trades up and gets a top 6 pick, I would love to go Mason Graham. He's not going to make it out of the top 10, but yeah, adding Mason Graham next to Zach Sealer would be like my favorite thing ever. It would be my favorite thing ever. Mike says it'd be cool if you did a draft with a fan page from each team with trades. Well, that's kind of what we're doing today, Mike. We're doing a draft with fans of other teams and channels here at Chat Sports. We're just doing no trades because, well, we do have other things to do here at Chat Sports today. And if we tried to trade in the first, second, third round back up, it would just take years and years and years. So I don't think that will be the case. So maybe next year. Maybe next year. Miller says Travis Hunter. I wish. Tyson, I kind of agree. I do kind of agree. All right, make sure you have hit that thumbs up icon if you are in the building. We currently have 50 people watching and only 18 likes. We need to get to 25 likes. Come on. So we only need 7 likes. Now that we have 18, can we get to 25 likes? We have to continue to hit that thumbs up icon. The bosses want a 50% like rate here. So as people continue to pile into the live chat and hang out with us here on a Thursday afternoon, hit that like button and stay locked in here. Help us out. Soto says, does Chat Sports have a Carolina Panthers channel? I may be a Dolphins fan, but I'm from the Carolinas. I'd work for y'all. We do not have a Panthers channel. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. We're getting closer and closer to all 32 teams. Right now, I think we're up to... What are the teams we don't have? We don't have the Cardinals. We do not have the Panthers. We do not have the Chargers. I'm going to go division by division. We do not have the Rams. We do not have the Colts. We do not have the Jaguars. We have all AFC East. We have all AFC North. I think we're good in the AFC with the South and West of just Chargers, Jags, and Colts. In the NFC, Tampa Bay is 7. We have in the West no Rams, no Cardinals, already said. We have 49ers, Seahawks. In the North, we have Vikings, we have Lions, we have Packers, and we have Bears. In the South, we have the Saints, Falcons, no Panthers, already said, and no Bucks, already said. And then in the East, we have all 4 NFC East teams. So we don't have those 7 teams. So we have 25 out of 32 teams. We don't have Panthers, Bucks, Cardinals, Rams, Colts, Jags, and what's the other AFC team? Chargers. That was the other Chargers team. So those are the 7. Those are the 7. Tyson says, Rolly, do you believe Achane is a top 10 running back? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was awesome. He's been awesome his first 2 years in the league. He's been awesome. Who is picking for those teams? Yeah, simulation. 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 All right, we do have a super chat menu on today's show. And you know what? I'll even go as far as this, Justin. If someone sends in a big super chat, we might even let them have a choice with us on a pick in this mock draft. Like, listen, I'm acting as GM, but if you want to be my assistant GM in this mock draft, you know what? I'll say this. If someone sends in a $50 super chat, you can be the assistant GM to where when we're on the board, we quickly have a conversation via the live chat on who is going to be our pick.
Be the scout, pounding the table for your favorite guy.
Yeah, exactly. As Justin points out, you can be the person telling you who we want to get. But other than that, a $5 super chat, we're doing 5 push-ups. $10, we're going to spin our wheel, which has had a whole lot of goodies on it. $20, I'm taking shots of tequila here on a Thursday afternoon. And then, like I said, if you send in a 50, you're going to be my assistant GM in today's live mock draft. And we're not going to even compare ourselves to the Dolphins organization. It'll just be Rolly and you. We're not going to try to act like we're Chris Grier. No, because we're better than them. We're better. We're better. So if you want to be the assistant GM in this mock draft with me, $50 super chat may do it. Or if not, it's going to be Justin. So you could take Justin's spot. Justin's out of a job with a $50 super chat. Well, Justin and I tell you what, would disagree on who we think the Dolphins should take at the 13th pick. Well, actually, I just know you're not the biggest fan of him, Will Johnson, Justin, but do you think he would fit in Miami?
Yeah, because you kind of need a cornerback.
Yeah, okay. So Justin is a hater. By the way, quickly, do you want to just click? I think those headshots are a little small, so just hit crop to fit the box, I think. Yeah. But Justin's not the highest on Will Johnson, but does think he would be a good pick for the Dolphins. I think it's just the bottom 2. Yeah, the first 3 look good there. Yeah, it was just the bottom 2. All right. So what we're going to do... Oh! Justin's out of a job! Justin's out of a job! Justin's out of a job! I don't think I should be screaming that cheering. That's going to be bad clip. Could be a bad clip. Oh no! Oh no! We're gonna have a collaboration here. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. So we have 2 guys. So we have a group now. We have a group. We have a group. This is going to be fun. This is going to be extremely fun. This is awesome. We're going to have a great time today, folks. You know what? Because both of you guys sent in a 52, I'm going to do a beer bong for the two of you guys as well. I brought it in here just in case. We have a nice little collective here. Building Fins Up, $50 super chat. You're a legend, Building Fins Up. Let's go. And then Jonathan Soto with a $50 super chat as well, saying, I'll be your Huckleberry. So what we're going to do here, hey, you two, do you have Twitter? Because I think we can make this easier for us three as we're going to be a group of GMs here. Since it came in simultaneously, I want to get you guys, damn it. Building Fins Up doesn't have a Twitter. You guys have, Building Fins Up, do you have an Instagram? And Jonathan Soto, do you have an Instagram? Because if you guys do, we'll create a quick group here, and we'll be able to text on IG real quick rather than go in the live chat when we're up to pick. Because hopefully you stick with us for the entirety of the mock draft. Listen, it might be very long, might be multiple hours. So if you guys can't stick around, that's fine. But if you guys are here for all three picks, well then, Fins Up says YouTube is unfortunately on social media. All right, that's fine. So what we're going to do is that when we come up on the board at 13, 48, and 98, assuming you guys are still here with us, when that comes up, we're going to say we're on the board, and we're going to get a minute. So you guys got to be ready. I said at the beginning, we only get 1 minute to make our pick. So what I think we'll do here, and I think this is a good way to go about it, Justin. You could tell me if agree or disagree. When we're on the clock, both Jonathan Soto and Building Fins Up, listen closely. When we get on the clock, we have 1 minute. So what you should do is both send in your pick, what you want the Dolphins to do. If both of you send in the same player, that's the pick. That's the pick. If you guys differentiate on players, I think I'll choose which one I like better. Is that a fair way to go about it, Soto and Fins Up? Let me know. I think that's fair. If it's the same player, that's the pick. If it's different guys, I'll choose between the two. And that's how we get it. Both of them agree. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. But also, because you guys sent in 250s, you guys are legends, I got a lemon lime happy daddy here. We're doing a beer bong. You know what? Any $50 super chat going forward is always going to be your beer bong. Soto, we appreciate the support from you. We appreciate Building Fins Up as well. Shout out to two of you guys. We're 11 minutes away from getting things underway with the first pick in this Chat Sports mock draft. It's a good thing our food got here before the live show because I don't eat breakfast. I intermittent fast until about lunch every day. So I stop eating around 8:30 at night, ideally, and then I don't eat until about 12:30 the next day. But so if I had to take a beer bong on an empty stomach, that would be even just one. It would be disaster. I would not like it. Not like it. All right. So with 10.5 minutes to go. This is what I would do. Jay the Fox, I'm doing good. How are you doing? This is my big board. And I think we're going to do a segment on this, actually, where I go through my personal big board for the Miami Dolphins as a full segment. But here on the live show, this is where I want to lean right now. I take in the factor, bless you, I take into account the likelihood they will be available at pick 13, as well as positional value, positional need for the Dolphins. And to me, the number one need for Miami is cornerback with the Jalen Ramsey news. My top corner in this draft is Will Johnson, and I think he's going to be there on the board at 13 for Miami, or at least have a chance to be there. So Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan, is my top guy available for the Dolphins at 13. I do not think he is going to be available, but in the ideal world where Armand Membu, the offensive lineman from Missouri, is in and on the board for Miami, I think I would take him over Jahdae Barron. If Will Johnson was there and Membu were there, I'm taking Johnson. But if Membu's there and Will Johnson's off the board, I'll go O-line. I'll create versatility on that line because Membu, I think, could play inside. He could play outside. He fits in the system. He's athletic. I would like Armand Membu here for the Dolphins, but I think he's going to be ultimately off the board. So if both Will Johnson and Membu are off the board, assuming Jahdae Barron is on the board, that would be my pick personally for the Dolphins if both of these two guys are gone. In some crazy world where these three are all gone, which isn't the most crazy thing, but it's pretty unlikely at this point, I would go defensive line, and my top defensive lineman outside of Mason Graham is actually his Michigan Wolverine teammate, Kenneth Grant. So if those three are off the board, I would go Kenneth Grant to slot him next to Zach Sealer. And that's the fascinating thing with Kenneth Grant, by the way, is that there's mock drafts out there that have him going between 15 and 20. There's also mock drafts out there where he's going 45. So his draft range is very much up in the air, but I think he's worthy of a first-round pick. And if they're all off the board, I would be fine going Kenneth Grant at number 13. I also think Chris Grier would like him due to his tenacity, his work ethic, his athleticism for his size. So I think he's a good ideal fit for Miami. Malachi Starks would be my fifth pick. If all four of those guys are off the board, which I will be willing to guarantee, there is no chance all four of these guys are off the board. But if they are, I would go DB at safety and take Malachi Starks. I think he's just going to be a great player in this league. I think he's fluid. He plays the run game. He can cover in the slot at free safety. I think Starks would be terrific in a Dolphins uniform. And even though safety doesn't have the biggest positional value in the NFL, I think it would be a great addition to this team because you could play him as your nickel corner and move Kader Kohu outside almost, but also play him at free safety as well. I really like Malachi Starks. All right, you saw my top 5 big board for the Dolphins at 13. This is not who you want to draft. What position should Miami draft? What position should the Dolphins take? Should they go O-line, corner, safety, defensive line? Those are the biggest 4 needs for Miami. Which one should they go? Yeah, I'm just seeing your question, Moonlight. No, we can't trade in this one. We're not doing it. Moonlight says trenches, DL, or O-line. Jay the Fox says corner. My assistant GM, building fins up, says fully depends on the board. Tyson goes defensive back. Cheating, because you didn't specify corner or safety. Yes, I agree, says corner. I'm fine going D-line or corner. I'm fine going there. Fat Boy says, got to trust Grier's plan. He's made dumb moves, but for a good reason. Well, we hope it's for a good reason. We hope. We don't know that. Could be dumb. It could be bad. Bill Lyon saying corner. Tyson specified and said Will Johnson. Did you have a meeting with Tom Downey when you were interviewing here?
I don't think so.
So you're going to meet him for the first time this upcoming weekend during the draft week. He is the most different person online than in person. He is, to me, hilarious online. And in person, he's like a dry guy. I like Tom a lot. But did you see what he said in the production? Wow, this just leaked on Twitter. I don't think Travis... Oh, he deleted it. No!
What was it?
He tweeted a Photoshop photo of Travis Hunter and a gas mask saying, oh no, picture just leaked. Travis Hunter can't go in the top 11 of our Pet Chat Sports mock draft. Funny. It's funny, man.
If he too busy taking shots at Jerry Jones, if he was about it, he would trade up.
Cowboys signing. I wonder, are we delaying the mock draft? What are we doing here? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But we did get another $5 super chat from my assistant GM. My assistant GM, Jonathan Soto, with a $5 super chat. That's 5 push-ups. With the Ramsey trade looming, potentially, cornerback at 13 seems to be the only choice if Johnson or Barron are there. Otherwise, D-line, O-line, safety in that order. So, Soto, you kind of lean like me, I guess. So my assistant GM thinks similar to me. I just don't think there's an offensive lineman worth taking at 13. Assuming Membu and Will Campbell are off the board, I don't think I'd be taking Kelvin Banks at 13. I don't think I would, if I'm going to be honest. And that's why I would maybe take Malachi Starks over Kelvin Banks if Will Johnson and Barron are both off the board. It's switched up on you here, so that's not actually the text on his super chat, just so you know. Yes, I agree. I don't think taking an interior offensive lineman at 13, like Gray Zabel, would make a lot of sense. Frank O'Connor. Yeah, this is big time. I'm glad Frank is here. So $20 super chat. Frank, you're a legend. That's a shot, so I always shot and 5 push-ups. Frank O'Connor, Justin, actually, when Cullen was still producing these live shows, super chatted one day and said it would be really cool if we did a Chat Sports live mock draft. And I won't say your super chat. Well, I will say this. It sparked ideas, and I talked to people inside the office. I did not go up to the bosses and pitch the idea, but I think someone else pitched the idea. I think it was Harrison. And Harrison and I had the conversation after your super chat. So Frank O'Connor, you're absolutely part of the reason why I think this is all going down. We also wanted to experiment how our graphics would go a test run through for the new hires here. So it's just good all around. But Frank, you did have an inspiration for this. So what we'll do, Justin, if you want to set up push-up cam, I'll take a shot for Frank O'Connor's $20 super chat. Shout out to Frank. And then I'll do the 5 push-ups as we're 2.5 minutes away from our live NFL mock draft. Shout out to you, Frank O'Connor, with the $20 super chat. Soto, it's a yes and no kind of answer. I'm not going to get into all of it because it's a lot. And my bosses probably wouldn't love that either. Shout out to you guys, though. All right. Push-up cam time. Man, it's a little bit of a crowded area here. This is the studio we're going to be live in for the NFL draft as well. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ugh. Shout out to you guys for the super chats. Shout out to you guys. All right, we're a minute and a half away, Justin. Let's get ready for the NFL. If you're ready for the NFL draft, spam me. If you're ready for the NFL draft, I know this is a live mock draft here by Chat Sports as a company, but spam those me's if you're ready. Spam those me's. GMs, hopefully you're ready. And I'm talking to you, Soto, and building things up. Remember, when we're on the clock, you two are sending in who you want to draft. One prospect, just one. Your top guy you want Miami to draft when we're on the board at 13, 48, and 98. And then if it's the same, we're going there. If we're going with a different player, that's what. And if they're 2 different players, I'll decide between the 2. I'll decide. So you guys are ready. Frank O'Connor's ready. Let's freaking go. Yes, I agree. Soto, Fins Up, Bill Lyon, Tyson, Jay the Fox. This is going to be a lot of fun, man. Yeah, you can push that at the bottom right now. Obviously, the first overall pick is going to be the Tennessee Titans. They are going to be on the clock here with 30 seconds. In 30 seconds, let's say this. JC Arenas saying me. Come on, spam those me's for the people in the building. Spam them. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, so if you have like the weigh-in watch parties and stuff like that, when the picks come in, I think it's good. And I will say this for draft day as well. And especially the first round when it's a long time between picks, player card top with the pick, and then with the bottom, and then on the bottom on the clock next is going to be the best way to think to go about it. All right, who's ready? We're officially underway. Brett Elper is on the clock for the Tennessee Titans. He's making the pick. I think we know where he is going to go with this. You would anticipate it is going to be the quarterback from Miami, Cam Ward. And we're also doing this. So what we're doing here at the company is that we're sending in our pick to our group Slack, and then the next team is on the clock. But I told Justin I don't want to know until it's coming on graphic-wise. So I am not looking down at my computer. I'll look down at the live chat, but I am not looking down at my computer, so I will not see who the pick is. I'm actually going to close my computer. And the first selection is, well, no shocker here, folks. It's Cam Ward, the quarterback from Miami. So this is what is likely going to happen in the real NFL draft. We know him very well, the Hurricanes QB. He is going to be likely the top selection. The Tennessee Titans need a QB. They have the number 1 pick, and they are going to go with Cam Ward. That's what they did in the mock draft. That's what it is expected to do as well in the real draft. No shock here. Ward, a talented quarterback, is going number 1 overall, which puts the Cleveland Browns on the clock here at number 2 overall. I'll be fascinated to see what Matthew Peterson at the Browns Report does, because to me, I think that it is an interesting one, right? Will they go Travis Hunter? Will they go Abdul Carter? It sounds like it's going to be Travis Hunter. Real, but is it going to be for the actual pick here? I think they might go, I think Petey's going Abdul Carter. But if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up icon. What's up, all the new people? Yeah. Cam Ward went number 1, and then number 2, the Cleveland Browns are picking. I'm not looking in the in production. Until we're on the clock, I'm not looking. I think Petey's going to go Abdul Carter. I think he's going to go Carter. He just did? I think, because Petey's been open about if he was GM, he would draft Carter over Hunter. The pick is allegedly in. Who is it going to be? I'm nervous. Going in blind. I don't know. Oh, he didn't go with Travis Hunter. Okay, so the Browns went Travis Hunter in this mock draft. So the wide receiver, corner hybrid, however you want to call him, either way, he goes with Travis Hunter. The number 2 pick goes to the Cleveland Browns. And this is a smokescreen. In this mock draft, folks, Petey told a lot of people he was going Abdul Carter at number 2. Ultimately, it is the Colorado Swiss Army knife of Travis Hunter. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Let me know in the chat. Do you guys think the Browns should take Travis Hunter? And then the Giants at number 3 is on the clock. Yeah, that's a good way to do it, too. And then, obviously, on draft night, we'll break down the pick more in depth, what it means for Miami. Obviously, this is going much more quicker. So, yeah. But Travis Hunter goes number 2 here in our mock to the Cleveland Browns. The Giants are on the clock. And unless Marshall Green was throwing me smoke screens, Justin, I expect this is going to be Abdul Carter at number 3. He's been a big Abdul Carter guy at number 3. I don't know what he's going to do here. It sounds like he might go that way. And it sounds like the pick is in. The pick is in, and it is Abdul Carter. So the New York Giants end up going with Abdul Carter in our 2025 Chat Sports Mock Draft. The edge out of Penn State, a dynamic player who is going to be, I think, a star in the NFL. And the Giants create an identity with Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence. So now the New England Patriots are on the clock. Can everyone type boo in the chat? Boo! Boo! The Patriots are on the clock. Boo! Shout out Jay the Fox, building fins up, Tristan Ruiz Nicholson, Bill Lyon, Jay the Fox, Tyson, Gino, Robert. Boo! Boo! Shout out Joe, Brian, Soup. Dolphins obviously picking at 13. We just had our 3rd pick, Abdul Carter from New York. The New England Patriots at number 4 are on the clock. I'm going to be curious to see who Ali Barefoot goes with here for the Patriots. You would assume offensive linemen, but you never know. Could they go wild card? Could they do an Ashton Genty? Could they do a Tyler Warren? Let's see what Ali Barefoot and the Patriots do here in our Chat Sports Mock Draft. I think the pick is in, and it's going to be Will Campbell. She went chalky. She went chalky. So the first 4 picks went Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Will Campbell. I think it's very likely that those are going to be your top 4 picks a week from tonight on the first day of the NFL draft. So the Patriots get their offensive lineman, Will Campbell. Soda says she made it very clear she doesn't want Genty. Interesting. I didn't know if she was a Genty person or not. So Will Campbell off the board at number 4. And now the Jaguars are on the clock at number 5. And this is our first simulated pick. This is one of the 7 channels and teams we do not cover at Chat Sports. So this could be the first true wild card, Justin, because nobody knows what the simulation is going to do with the Jags at number 5. And it's going to be Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State. Wow. So the simulation goes a little haywire here. And in this Chat Sports mock draft, Jacksonville goes tight end Tyler Warren. I wouldn't think it's the craziest thing in the world to happen draft night.
All right, Dolphins fans. Considering the need of defensive tackle, does Chris Grier pick up the phone?
Listen, could they, as Justin points out, could Chris Grier pick up the phone, trade Jalen Ramsey and draft capital to move up with the Raiders at number 6 to get Mason Graham? I don't know. It's certainly interesting. But speaking of the Las Vegas Raiders, after Tyler Warren is the pick for the Jags, number 6 will be the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are on the clock here at this Chat Sports mock draft. Steve says, I live in Western New York. I hate Buffalo more than I do the Patriots. Steve, I actually agree. Steve, I'm 100% with you. I'm from Rochester, New York, which is an hour east of Buffalo. I hate the Bills more than any team in the NFL. Without a question. Their fan base can't stand them. Hate them. Despise them. So I hate the Bills more than anyone else. Building says Genty coming up. How far would Mason Graham have to slide before Dolphins pick up the phone and try to make a call?
You think the Jets take him?
No, I think the Jets are going to go Armand Membu.
Hey, I think you got to pick up the phone.
So
Number 8.
Then at 8 with Carolina, do they need a D tackle? No, they got, I'm spacing on the big guys.
Derek Brown.
Derek Brown. Do they want to pair him up? I don't know. It sounds like they like Jalen Walker. But I think at number 8, I would be intrigued. I'd be intrigued. 95 people watching. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. Sub-only chat in the live chat. Also, we put out daily content 7 days until the NFL draft. We'll have videos every day. We'll be live for all 3 days of the draft. We're live here for a mock draft simulation. How about that? We will not be going live next Tuesday, as we usually do go with a mock or live Tuesdays. We're not doing that, but it is going to be fun here today and next Thursday. And the pick is in for the Raiders. It's Ashton Genty, the running back from Boise State, which means even though Mason Graham was available, he remains on the board at number 7. I don't think he's not going to be there at 13 for Miami. I don't think. But I'm starting to wonder if you would pick up the phone. Because I think Mason Graham would be picked by the Saints at 9. And here it is. So Ashton Genty here at 6 by Mitchell Renz of the Raiders report. But the Jets report, boo, went with Armand Membu, the offensive lineman from Missouri. So the 2 top O-linemen on my board are off the board. Mason Graham is still available with the 8th overall pick. And now I would seriously consider, with Graham still there at 8, of maybe a trade-up. I would think about trading with Carolina to 8. If the Panthers were willing to move down, I'd be intrigued to move up. But that's no fun because the mock draft simulation has the Panthers going with the defensive tackle from Michigan, Mason Graham. I would seriously, if I was GM, I would contemplate moving up in the draft if Graham was still on the board at number 8. Obviously, no trades here. And that's going to be it. So, okay. How about this, Justin? We're going to take a quick timeout. As the Saints, we're going to take a quick timeout and have 2 minutes till the next clock. How about we show what has happened in the draft? You have the draft tracker. So the Saints are on the clock here at number 9. We'll see what Trace Gerard over at Saints Now does. But let's recap the first picks in this mock draft. Picks 1 through 4 went as followed. Cam Ward went number 1. Travis Hunter went number 2 to the Browns. Abdul Carter 3 to the Giants. Will Campbell, the offensive lineman, goes to New England. And then the next 4 picks, Tyler Warren goes 5th to the Jags and a little bit of a stunner. The Raiders go Ashton Genty, the running back from Boise State. The Jets go with Armand Membu, the offensive tackle from Missouri. And then Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan, slides to the Carolina Panthers at pick number 8. So, as we are still in this little timeout, the Saints are on the clock at 9. We're right there, though. We're almost up. This is my big board. So, obviously, Armand Membu is gone. But I have a hard time imagining, Justin, in the next 4 picks, that both Johnson and Barron go off the board. But you never know. So, that's where I would lean.
Obviously, no trades in this scenario that we're doing. But, Dolphins fans, we see only one is picked off this board. Do we consider picking up the phone to trade back?
My question is, I mean, you could trade back if someone wants to move up to 13, get some other draft capital, move back to 21, 22. You'd still probably be able to get either Nick Emenwari, Malachi Starks, Kenneth Grant, Derek Harmon, Walter Nolan in the early 20s. So I would be intrigued if someone offered us a trade. Obviously, in this Chat Sports mock draft, we are not going to be doing that, but no trades. But I would be intrigued with a trade down on actual draft night. I would. So the Saints are on the clock at 9. Does Trace Gerard go with a quarterback? Derek Carr allegedly might not be here this year. Do they go Sanders? Do they go Dart? Trace might have thrown out a smokescreen. There was rumors that he might go Tyler Shuck at number 9. I don't know.
I mean, it could go receiver.
Unbelievable stuff. All right, so it sounds like, I just looked back down at my phone, the Saints are on the clock here at number 9. So, oh yeah, Soto, we have no trades in this mock draft. Yeah, okay, I just wanted to make sure that. Okay, so we see Trace allegedly is typing. The pick is in, per se, to be announced here momentarily. The 9th pick in the draft, I think, is in. Is it in, Justin? It's not in. Yeah, Soto, a little too complicated of a thing to pull off here. But the pick is in. And here it is. Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado, the QB to the New Orleans Saints at number 9. Certainly not the most surprising thing, that's for sure. The Saints at number 9 go with the QB, Shedeur Sanders. Listen, I like Shedeur. I think he's a fine prospect. I have him as my number 2 quarterback. I have Jackson Dart number 3. And if I'm going to be honest, I think I might have Jalen Milroe 4. But I have Sanders going at number 9 here. And with only 3 picks ahead of us, 10, 11, 12, I have a good feeling that one of our corners are going to be on the board. I do. We got the Bears up now, then San Francisco, Dallas, and then us. I doubt that both Jahdae Barron and Will Johnson are off the board in the next 3 picks. If they are, we're in shambles. We are in shambles. So Shedeur to the 9th spot. The Bears are on the clock. With how the draft has gone so far, what position should Miami go with? Let me know in the chat. We just recapped the top 8. Saw Sanders go 9. Let me know your thoughts. I will say, this is good practice, but also on the real thing, there's going to be such a difference in draft, or like such time in between picks, to where we'll rotate through more graphics and like, yeah. No, I get it. I like actually what we're doing though. The 10th pick is in. Wow, I'm actually a little bit surprised. They go Mike Green, the edge from Marshall. Listen, I'm not shocked that Mike Green would go this early, folks. And I know, speaking with Harrison Graham of Bears Now, he wants either Genty, Tyler Warren, or Mason Graham at 10. All three of them went off the board. I would say that's the worst possible outcome if you're a Bears guy. If that's how the board fell, I think it's the worst possible outcome.
Shoot. I mean, that Tyler Warren pick really threw him for a loop, I feel like.
Yeah, I think that the Bears are circling in on Tyler Warren. Yeah. So Mike Green, the Marshall edge off the board here at 10, which means we have 2 picks ahead of us, San Francisco and Dallas. I'll tell you what, Justin. Mike Green has been a popular spot for San Francisco at 11. I am slightly nervous, that we could see corner. Slightly. I don't think so. I don't think Tom's going to go corner for Dallas, but I could see the 49ers report going with a corner here. Yeah, Soto, I like that. Want to pull up my big board again? Or do we have Tom Downey's big board on there?
Let me see.
The
pick is in.
Okay, the 49ers are on the clock. The pick is in. So we'll get there. And then after we quickly show this, let's show our big board again for my assistant GMs, Jonathan Soto, and my guy Fins. The pick is in for the 49ers. Oh, I almost forgot about this guy on the board, Jalen Walker, because he's been rumored to go 8 to the Panthers. So the 49ers go with the edge out of Georgia, Jalen Walker. I really like that pick for San Francisco. I do. So the good news is, my assistant GMs, Jonathan Soto and Fins, is that we'll have one of our corners on the board. This is ESPN's best available on their big board. It's Will Johnson, Jihad Campbell, Walter Nolan, Mykel Williams as the Cowboys on the clock. You want to show the next here? So this is the top available according to ESPN's big board, not our Chat Sports big board, not my personal big board. So we're on the clock. Okay, just tell me who went. Okay, so the Cowboys went Tet McMillan. So we're on the clock. My assistant GMs, building Fins up, Jonathan Soto, quickly on the clock. Who you guys want? Both corners, Will Johnson and Jahdae Barron are there. Tet McMillan went at 12. Fins up wants Will Johnson. Who does Soto want? Okay, we're all in agreement. We're all in agreement. The pick's in! You can just put it up. Will Johnson's a Dolphin, baby. I'm glad that we're all in agreement. That's what a good front office does. Me, Jonathan Soto, and building Fins up, the 3 people collabing on the Dolphins picks today. Our guy, Will Johnson, was at the board at 13. We went with Will Johnson. You know what? Let's talk about Will Johnson more in depth. We'll catch up on the picks later, but we have some time to talk about Will Johnson. So let's do it. We went with Will Johnson here. He is the number 2 corner according to Tom Downey. So I guess he has Travis Hunter listed as a corner because because Will Johnson was the top available. I love Will Johnson. You want to know more about him? Fluid, instinctive corner. I think he's got press ability because he's 6'2". Now, I will say his shuttle time being 4.33 and his 13th percentile is not ideal. His lackluster 40 rumored time of being 4.6, but he is versatile. He's a great zone corner, ball hawk, and I like that note from Tom. He's got ball hawk potential. Now, sometimes he does get greedy trying to play in zone coverages, jumping routes, and intercepting them, but he's got all the makings. He's got the size, he's got the instincts, the fluidity in his hips to be able to be a CB1 in the NFL. And with the Dolphins needing a corner so badly alongside Jalen Ramsey, if they somehow keep him, or if they end up trading Jalen Ramsey, which seems likely, Will Johnson could fill that void. I'm hoping he slides to Miami on draft night at number 13. Me, Soto, and Fins up all wanted Will. We got him. More on Will Johnson from Dane Brugler, the athletic insider, say that Johnson is more good than great in terms of twitch and speed, but he has outstanding eyes, feet, and coverage IQ to match and make plays on the football. He projects as a day one starting outside corner in the NFL. That's exactly what Miami needs, and we go with Will Johnson. What we can do here, Justin, is catch up by cycling the player card, but I want to know the people in the chat, grade the Dolphins pick. If we made the selection of Will Johnson on draft night, not just Dolphins Today, but the actual Dolphins organization, how would you grade Will Johnson? A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. Grade Roley's pick for Miami. Now, I know it was a collaboration with Fins Up and Jonathan Soto, but let me know. Let me know. Grade the pick. We took Will Johnson at number 13. I think that's just got to be the most ideal scenario for the Dolphins. I think it is. I agree says A+, Jay the Fox says A+, Fins Up says A, Dad Dean A, Dolphins Uncensored says D-. Doesn't like the pick. Pony Boy says A, Tyson Bryant A++, Ryan says A, Gino A, Stetson A, Aaron Prince says A+++. Bill Lyon goes A+, Santiago A, Dennis A, Tristan A. So we're all feeling pretty good about that pick. The Falcons are on the clock at 15 because the 14th pick was a stunner. Jahad Campbell, the linebacker from Alabama, goes to the Colts. Now, I don't think that's that stunning of a pick, but I do anticipate the Colts going with Colston Loveland, the tight end from Michigan, if he's there at 14. Because they need a tight end. They could also use a linebacker, so it makes sense for Jahad Campbell to go there. We actually have the pick in as well for the Falcons at 15, and they're going with Nick Emenwari, the safety from South Carolina, a player Miami has been linked to in the past.
Dolphins Uncensored, he got hurt halfway through the season, so that's why he only has 2 picks.
Who?
He saw the stat with him only have 2 picks, Will Johnson, so that's why he was against the pick.
By the way, 2 picks in 6 games, pretty damn good. Listen, like if you get 4 picks a year in the NFL, that's really, really good. That's really, really good. I like the pick for Miami. I mean, that's what I want. I want Will Johnson. I'm glad the board fell our way, and I'm glad my assistant GMs, Fins Up and Jonathan Soto, both saw that was the biggest need. So I will say this now, Justin. In our second round pick at 48, it's going to be a lot more interesting. Does the trio of me, Soto, and Fins Up agree like we did the last time? I don't know. I don't know if we do. Well, we have the 16th pick in. It's Donovan Ezeraku, the edge from Boston College, someone rising up boards, going to the Arizona Cardinals. I would be surprised if they went with him over Mykel Williams. I like Mykel Williams. I feel like he's getting a bad rap for some reason. Like in mock drafts, you're out on Mykel?
I told you those were one of the names that the Cowboys are interested in. I would have a fit if it's him or Will Johnson.
Interesting. Well, the 17th pick by the Bengals is in as well. They went with the other guy I would have taken if Will Johnson was off the board, and Jahdae Barron, the corner, nickel, safety, versatile guy. What goes number 17? They went 17 with Jahdae Barron. So now the Seahawks are on the clock at 18. I hear Tyler Jones. Apparently the pick is in. Apparently the pick is in. I looked down at my phone. I didn't even see who he said. But the 18th pick belongs to the Seahawks. I think they're going to go offensive line. No! Wow. The Seattle Seahawks go with the tight end from Michigan, Colston Loveland. I think he would go 14 to the Colts, if I'm going to be honest. But there has just been so many players linked to the Seahawks on the offensive line. I am a little bit shocked that Tyler Jones didn't go with the Gray Zabel at 18 or Kelvin Banks. I'm a little bit shocked. I am. So, here at pick number 19, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. Soto, we will flash the board. According to ESPN, this is not my personal big board, but according to ESPN, Walter Nolan's the top guy available, then Mykel Williams, Josh Simmons, Malachi Starks, and then you get into the next range here of Kelvin Banks Jr., the offensive lineman from Texas, Emeka Egbuka, Amarian Hampton, Matthew Golden. By the way, Justin, I didn't even ask you because Justin is a Cowboys fan. That happens on draft night, Tech McMillan. How are we feeling for you?
We're throwing a party.
Justin's throwing a party. Justin's throwing a party. Building things up, I think Walter Nolan goes first round. I do. All right, the pick is in for Tampa Bay. The simulator goes with Shamar Stewart, the edge from Texas A&M, someone who had a second-round profile on him, then has the best NFL combine out of any player not named Nick Rohloff, and now is likely going to be a first-round pick, it sounds like. He goes 19th to Tampa Bay. I'm not the biggest Shamar Stewart guy. I'm not.
I think you're just rolling the dice on the athleticism. He's twitched up, though. And the pressures.
He certainly is.
Put him next to somebody that can actually sack the quarterback. You might have something special.
Certainly is. All right, the 20th pick is in as well. The Denver Broncos. No surprise here, I got to be honest. Amarian Hampton, the running back from North Carolina. I've seen so many reports out there that if Amarian Hampton's on the board at 20, the Broncos are going to pick him. It's just all about if Hampton goes before 20 or not. Like Benjamin Albright, say it for what you is with his reporting. He is a Denver Broncos guy. He has said the floor for Amarian Hampton is 20. Like if the Broncos are on the board and Hampton's there, they're taking him. That's basically what Benjamin Albright has said. He is a dynamic running back that has great physical power, explosiveness, can catch the ball as well out of the backfield. I like Hampton a lot. I'm a North Carolina college football fan, so a little biased. But I think Hampton's a good pick there. All right, 21 pick is here. The Steelers are on the clock. Does Jack Sperry go his guy, Tyler Shuck? I think he's gonna. They need a QB, that's for sure. Or does he go Jackson Dart? But either way, hit that thumbs up icon, folks. 93 people watching, 56 likes. I'm closing my eyes for this one, Justin. When you push the graphic, you let me know because I think he's going to go Shuck, but I could also see him going Dart. It's push. Sperry! Whoa! I thought for sure he was going to go quarterback in the first round. Sperry, the Steelers talk, goes with the defensive lineman Derek Harmon from Oregon. Kenneth Grant was on the board, who I would have higher than Harmon on my big board. But he has Harmon to the Steelers at 21. Kenneth Grant and Walter Nolan still on the board. Well, not for long because, shocker, the simulator goes with a Michigan Wolverine to Jim Harbaugh, excuse me. Kenneth Grant, the D tackle from Michigan, someone that I would take at 13 if both corners are off the board, goes to the Chargers here at 22. So, couple defensive linemen off the board. I don't think they were ever going to make it to 48 for Miami, but I did hope that the Dolphins have a good player here at 48 on the defensive line. Cherie Gordon says, what is the Dolphins pick? We picked Will Johnson, Cherie. We picked Will Johnson. We picked Will Johnson at 13 overall. So now 23. I actually forget who's at 23. Is that no, it's not the Commanders. The Packers are at 23. Because I know the Vikings are at 24 and the Texans are at 25. But I couldn't remember who is 23. So no, not the Commanders. Well, I think let's look at the top defensive lineman available, Justin. Yeah, Mykel Williams still on the board. I think that would be a no-doubt pick for the Green Bay Packers. When you look at the top defensive linemen available, after both Derek Harmon and Kenneth Grant went off the board, this is what I would do. I would have this, I think, flipped. So Walter Nolan is my top guy available on the defensive line. That's ESPN's top defensive lineman available right now still. They have Darius Alexander 2, TJ Sanders 3, Tyleik Williams 4. I would have the same top 4, but I would flip TJ Sanders and Darius Alexander. I would have TJ Sanders as my second D lineman over Alexander. I would. You guys can let me know your thoughts down in the comment section, but I really like TJ Sanders. A little bit undersized, but an explosive athlete on that interior defensive line. Could be a day one starter, in my opinion. I think Alexander could be a day one starter, too, as well. I would. All right, the pick's in for Green Bay at 23. I'm kind of stunned, but I'm not really. Luther Burden, the Missouri wide receiver. So he goes with Burden over Emeka Egbuka and over Matthew Golden.
Same old problem for Green Bay, if you ask me.
I do think Burden's good. I would take Golden over Burden. I think Burden and Egbuka is a toss-up. I do. But I would take Golden firmly over Burden.
If your biggest asset is Yak, not interested.
Burden is a solid vertical guy at times. He has some vertical moments.
Hey, man, Mizzou, they just said, here you go, man. Here's the ball, go run around. And then, yes, occasionally they'll get to the little deep ball, but the dude's 6 foot, man.
Yeah.
Little, itty-bitty guy.
No, we're just doing the first 3 rounds, fins up. All right, the 24th pick is in for the Vikings. This would be a home run pick for them. Malachi Starks would be awesome. I love Malachi Starks. He's my number 1 safety. I have him over Emin Warrior. I have him over Jahdae Barron if you think he's a safety. They need one in that secondary after losing Cam Bynum in free agency. I tell you what, I think he would be awesome with Brian Flores. I think he would. I think he would be unbelievably good. I think Starks is arguably a top 7 player, in my opinion, in this draft, that if he's in the NFL, regardless of scheme, he's going to be good. I don't think you can say that for everyone because a lot of it's where you get drafted, how you are coached. I think Starks is going to be good in the NFL no matter what. I don't know if you feel the same way. I'm just so high on the guy. I've been on him for 3-4 months now.
Hey, he's a good player. Just wish he tested a little bit better. Then he would have been going higher.
I have a pretty good feeling where Chugs is going to go here with the 25th pick. I'm 90%. Never mind. I was going to have Chugs taking Kelvin Banks, the offensive lineman from Texas, who is still on the board, by the way. They've been linked to him, but they go Matthew Golden. Chugs is taking the wide receiver that has slipped a little bit here. Tank Dell is probably out for this entire year, I would assume, after that massive knee injury in the end of the regular season. They need help alongside Nico Collins because Stephon Diggs is a Patriot. They take Matthew Golden. They've been linked to Emeka Egbuka as well. I'm intrigued with the offensive lineman falling here. We have no Gray Zabel. We have no Kelvin Banks. We have no Tyler Booker. We have no Josh Simmons as we're entering the near end of the first round. Well, no longer the case. The Los Angeles Rams take the offensive lineman Kelvin Banks. And that makes sense. There was never a world where Kelvin Banks was making his way to 48 overall. But I would have been intrigued if he was there at the end of the first. And I'll be honest, if I'm the Dolphins and this situation happened, I would think about trading up into the late first round to take Kelvin Banks. I would. Every noodle, I don't hate that. So after Kelvin Banks goes off the board, when you're looking at the top offensive tackles, interesting, that these are the top 4 according to ESPN. Now, I also do want to preface this here as who's on the clock at 27? The Ravens. Ravens are on the clock at 27. Josh Simmons is an offensive tackle. Donovan Jackson, he's a guard. So I'm not sure why he's labeled as a tackle. I think he's a guard. So I would put him inside, but Josh Connerly and Asante Irisi. And then when you look at the interior offensive linemen, Gray Zabel, number 1, is the top guy. I'm shocked he's still on the board. And then Jared Wilson, Jonathan Monaheim, Jake Majors. Do they not have guards? Because these are all centers. Because, I would think that Jake Majors is not the 4th best overall interior offensive lineman. I think if you could say he's the 4th center, sure, but if you're just talking guards, no. Well, okay, so Tyler Booker is a miss. So when we talk about troubleshooting, write this down in the doc or something. No guard best available. It's only offensive tackles and center. Because you see Tyler Booker guard there, but we don't have guards. Because Booker should be on that interior offensive lineman list alongside Zabel. So that's something that just to write down in our notes. Yeah, no need to do it now because there's a lot going on. Just that, write that in is like because we want to have like feedback, troubleshoot, so we're all good to go next week. Yeah. All right, the 27th pick is in for the Ravens. James Pierce Jr., the edge from Tennessee. Michael Williams still on the board, right? I'm not tripping. This doesn't shock me. This is a biased pick from Joey Peterson in the Ravens rundown. The Ravens rundown host went to Tennessee. It's a biased pick. All right, 28's in as well. The Lions go with Walter Nolan. That would be a great pick for them. I think they could also go Michael Williams, pair him up with Aiden Hutchinson. But interior pass rusher, athletic, versatile. He's got arguably one of the highest. I think he's got the highest ceiling out of all defensive linemen interior in the draft. It's just a question of the off-the-field stuff. And I don't even know if there's off-the-field issues, personally. I just know that people have been talking about that being a reason why he slides sometimes.
Well, it's the attitude, it's the underproduction. Outside of this year, smelly at Texas A&M, and it's the whole, is he a me guy or a team guy?
Yeah, but, I mean, if you just go based off traits and talent, I think he's a top 15 pick. It's just all about the mindset. And with Miami, if he was there at 48, yeah, I would probably take Walter Nolan and run to the podium. But you are trying to build a better culture, really. Because the culture in the Miami locker room is not good right now, I don't think. I don't know if Nolan would make that better. I think he would make it worse.
You're going to be pretty shocked by this next pick if you want to shield your eyes.
Okay, so Justin's saying I'm shielded. Who's up next?
Jack Sperry and the Commanders.
Jack Sperry and the Commanders up next. I'm closing my eyes. Who does he go with? Let me know when it's open. Wow. I'm not that surprised. Jane Higgins, the wide receiver of Ohio State, he has risen up boards since the Combine and Senior Bowl, Justin. Because I'm pretty sure Jane Higgins was borderline unguardable in Mobile, Alabama at the Senior Bowl. He's got great size at 6'4", 214. He was productive this last season in a not-so-good offense at Iowa State. And he tested well at the Combine. So it would not shock me if Higgins was a first-round pick. But that does leave Emeka Egbuka still on the board. And would you be shocked, Justin, if Egbuka was not one of the first three wide receivers taken? Because obviously we've seen McMillan, Golden, and Burden go. Egbuka not going top 4 is kind of crazy at the wide receiver position.
There's not a world where Jaden Higgins goes ahead of Emeka Egbuka in my reality.
I would put Higgins, I think, 5 or 6 if I'm going to be honest. But I wouldn't put him above Egbuka. I wouldn't put him. I wouldn't do it. But wow, these are the top wide receivers available according to ESPN as the Bills are on the clock here at 30. So we're almost done with the first round. After we're done with the first round, we'll take a quick timeout, about 4 or 5 minutes. We'll tell you about game time, and then we'll have more of a conversation about the draft as well. It's perfect because I don't think any of my second-round big board guys, the graphic we made, is off the board yet.
Oh, yeah. Once we do after we do the ad read.
Yeah.
We can go to that.
We'll do that.
But guys.
Yeah, I like what Bill Lyons do. Boo the chat for the Bills pick. Go ahead, Justin.
If Chat Sports was making these picks, we would be cleaning house.
I feel like we're going to have a good pick at 48. Am I the only one here making good picks?
I'm saying.
And I'm not saying me, it's us here. Like when you really go through it, and we'll after the first round, we'll talk about the second round prospects. We'll also go through the entire first round again. I'm trying to think of a pick that, to me, I liked a lot outside of Will Johnson.
That wasn't chalky?
Yeah. Now, this one makes sense. It does. The Bills go with a corner, Trey Amos. He has been rumored to be that third corner over Maxwell Hairston as we have gotten closer to the draft. and it makes sense. I actually like Amos a lot. Did I have him on my second round big board? I don't think so because I think he's going to be off the board. I don't think I did. Not that it matters because we're probably not going corner. Not perfect. I think Amos is actually good. I do. Him and Hairston are going to be interesting. Who goes as the third corner? Because to me, it's clearly going to be Will Johnson, Jahdae Barron as the top two corners in the NFL draft. But when it comes to Amos or Hairston as the fourth or the third, I'm interested. I am. I am interested. Yeah. Barron went early. He went early. Hunter went number 2 overall. I don't hate Siobhan Revel. Yes, I agree. But the 31st pick is in for the Kansas City Chiefs, as now the championship Philadelphia Eagles are on the board at 32. But I know the pick for Kansas City here. Building. You know what, Building? You're rising up my board as a good GM partner here. You and Soto are great, man. You guys are glued to the chat. You guys are locked in. You guys know who's available, and we'll talk more about who's available at 48 for Miami. It's going to be fun. But you guys are great. The 31st pick, it's going to be Gray Zabel, the interior offensive lineman from Kansas City. I mean, it makes sense. They traded Joe Thuney this offseason. They franchise tagged, I'm spacing on the guy's name, Trey Smith. There it is. So Gray Zabel could either play center behind Creed Humphrey, can play left guard in replacing Joe Thuney. That is a good pick for Kansas City, as much as that would pain me to make. It would. It would pain me to make that pick or see that pick go off the board. I also think it's a possible situation where Zabel goes that early. I think he could slide as well. No, Soto, both you and Finn's up are locked in. All right, the final pick of the first round. Is this the most Eagles pick of all time?
Hey, I would laugh in their face at that.
And unfortunately, I would have to disagree with you on this.
That's okay.
At 32, Michael Williams is a good pick.
It's all good. He can go be a fake Georgia production player or hype player in Philadelphia like everybody else there besides Jalen Carter.
You don't think he's going to be good at all?
I wouldn't want to gamble on that. He got the same problem that Shamar Stewart got.
I can agree with you early, but when it comes to, I think pick 16 and beyond, that's where I think Michael could go. You don't think so?
No, he will. I didn't say he's not a first-round pick.
You just don't want him.
Y'all can go gamble on somebody that doesn't get sacks, but it's told to be elite sack guy.
All right, so that's the first round. We'll go through every pick in the first round here in a second, but we do have to tell you about the official ticketing partner and sponsor of Dolphins Today, and that is Game Time. Game Time is the easiest and best place to get your tickets, whether you want to go to an NBA playoff game, a concert, it doesn't matter. Killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA playoff tickets. They have last-minute deals, save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy shows, theater events, and more. They have all-in pricing, which shows you the total price of your ticket up front with no surprise fees at checkout. They also have a full panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. They also will tell you they have the lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Links in the live chat and description of today's video. All right, so let's recap here. The Browns are going to be back up on the clock here in a minute, but it's going to be about 4 minutes in between. Some other channels have to do specific things. So we'll use the time that we already told you about Game Time and recap the picks here. And then we'll look at my big board for the second round and my co-GMs here will be able to give their thoughts as well. But yeah, only 2 quarterbacks go on the first round. Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe both on the board here at 33. I actually would have to assume that Petey's going to go with one of them at 33. I'd be intrigued to see which one he does. But either way, Cam Ward went 1. You saw Travis Hunter 2. Abdul Carter 3. And then you saw Will Campbell go to the Patriots at number 4. 5 through 8 is where it got a little bit interesting. Tyler Warren went a little bit higher than expected at number 5 to the Jags. Ashton Genty, no surprise to the Raiders. Oh, it's been money. No issues at all. Armand Membu to the Jets at 7. No surprise there. Mason Graham at 8 to the Panthers after sliding down from 5. I do think the Jags go with Graham on draft night, but he slid to the Panthers at 8. The Saints draft their QB of the future and Shedeur Sanders. Makes a lot of sense to me. Bears, with their top guys off the board, and their top guys being Genty, Mason Graham, and Tyler Warren, went with Mike Green. Jalen Walker, a great pick for San Francisco at 11. And then the Cowboys, Justin's Cowboys, gets his wide receiver 2 next to CeeDee Lamb, Tedoror McMillan, which left us on the board at 13. And the brain trust here at Dolphins Today went with Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan. I think it makes all the sense in the world. I think that's the best pick for the Dolphins if everything goes the right way. And then you see here, linebacker Jahad Campbell, Nick Rohloff, Donovan Ezeraku at number 16. Then another corner goes off the board. Jahdae Barron of the Bengals at 17. Colson Loveland at 18. Shamar Stewart to the Bucks at 19. And then the Broncos grabbed their RB for Bo Nix and Sean Payton, Amarian Hampton at number 20. Then I would say it started to get interesting here, Justin. I don't think there was many surprises in the top 20. But then once 21, Derek Harmon off the board, the defensive lineman from Oregon, went to Steelers, where I thought he was going quarterback. I was shocked. So he goes with Harmon. Then Kenneth Grant joins his former college coach, Jim Harbaugh. And another stunner. Luther Burden goes 23, the Green Bay Packers, instead of a Matthew Golden, instead of a Emeka Egbuka. And then the Vikings get a great pick in Malachi Starks. And then you saw Matthew Golden go off the board to the Texans at 25. Kelvin Banks at 26. James Pierce at 27 to the Ravens. And then Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle, to the Detroit Lions at 28. And then the final 4 picks of the first round in this Chat Sports Live mock draft. Jaden Higgins, the wide receiver from Iowa State at 29. Trey Amos at 30. Let's go, by the way, ESPN's best available before we go to my big board. Gray Zabel at 31, a good interior offensive lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs. And then the last pick of round 1 was Michael Williams, the edge from Georgia, joins the Philadelphia Eagles. So, okay, those were the 32 picks. Now we're going to look at the top players on the board according to ESPN. Josh Simmons, I think, is the top player. I would agree with ESPN here. It's the offensive tackle from Ohio State. Emeka Egbuka, the wide receiver from Ohio State, is there. Another Ohio State player, Donovan Jackson, an offensive guard, not an offensive tackle in my opinion, is still on the board. And then you saw Tyler Booker fall out of the first round as well. Then the next little slate of players here. Siobhan Revel, the corner from Eastern Carolina, still on the board. Travion Henderson, the running back from Ohio State, on the board. And then Maxwell Harrison and Josh Connerly, the offensive tackle from Oregon. We'll look at 4 more players here and then get into my big board for the Dolphins. Mason Taylor at 9, Elijah Arroyo, Quinshawn Judkins, Ariante Usuri. So some good players still on the board here. Good players. All right. So when it comes to the Dolphins, this is how I would have things ranked for Miami. Now, obviously, we took Will Johnson in the first round. So you could, I think, take Benjamin Morrison and Siobhan Revel off of the list. I do not think Miami would double down with corner at 13 and 48. But I just had this big board in case we did not go with a player that was a corner at 13. I think TJ Sanders is my top defensive lineman available right now. I would put Darius Alexander number 2. I didn't put Tyleik Williams on here because I think he was going to be off the board, and we'll see if he is on the board. But I would have Alfred Collins in that range as well. And then I have Xavier Watts at safety at number 7. But I have Jonah Savayanea and Tyler Booker as my top 2 interior offensive line targets for Miami in the second round. I have Savaianea ahead of Booker because I don't think Booker fits in the scheme for Miami. Is he a good player? Yes. He's physical. He's a mauler. But I don't think he's got the foot speed and ability to play in a wide zone scheme like Miami's offense. So to me, even though Booker on paper is better, I don't think he fits in Miami. So I'm actually avoiding Tyler Booker unless all 7 of these players are off the board. So I'm really serious about that. But you saw what position should the Dolphins draft in the second round? What position? We drafted corner in round 1. What position should we go in round 2? Cherise says wide receiver. Tyson says trenches. Jay the Fox says O-line. Building, or my coach GM Fins Up says trenches. Every Noodle says Darius Alexander. Stetson says O-line. Lamar says safety. O'Connor says trenches. Lion D-line. Ponyboy D-line. Brian O-line. Santiago D-line. Well, we'll see. And by the way, we have restarted the second round. So the 33rd pick is up. The Browns are on the board. So we'll start the second round here. Remember, the Dolphins have pick 48. Let me remind myself, no stoppages here. We'll just recap and hold after the second round. Okay. Whoa. I got spoiled on this one, and I'm shocked. We'll wait till we have the graphic on screen to announce it, but I am stunned by Matthew Peterson's pick at 33. I am. The Browns selected running back out of Iowa, Caleb Johnson. Kind of stunned. I am. I would have taken the Ohio State running backs over him. I would have taken Judkins. I would have taken Henderson. I don't know.
He's running back 3 for me.
You have Caleb as your RB3?
Yeah.
Really? I think he's my 5, but I have the Ohio State running backs at 3-4.
Hey, remember my criteria. We don't like people that tap out. That's Travion Henderson. They literally recruited Judkins because he couldn't stay healthy, and they said you're only getting 12 carries a game.
I am a little bit stunned he didn't go quarterback. Maybe he was going to wait till round 3, but with Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart, and Tyler Shuck all on the board, I'm a little bit shocked that the Browns didn't go with a QB at 33. They go running back, the Nick Chubb replacement. I think Nick Chubb is, by the way, still a free agent, right? Or did he? He still is? Yeah. All right, so 33, Caleb Johnson, which puts the Giants on the clock? Yeah, because if you remember, they flipped the, what's it called? The draft order. If there's a tiebreaker in the first round that goes to the Titans, then now it goes to, or it went from the Browns, because there's a tiebreaker of Browns, Giants, Titans. Titans got 1 pick, then it will be Browns round 2, or first pick round 2, and then it's Giants first pick round 3, I believe. Yeah, I'll tell you what, folks. We might be in a good spot here for the Dolphins at pick number 48. I have a feeling these D linemen might fall. I have a good feeling about it. We could go, want to do a sub driver while we wait? While we wait for the Giants pick at 34 to get in. Make sure you are subscribed. 80 people watching. We put out daily Dolphins content and do live shows like this for fun. We'll be live for every single day of the NFL draft next week. It's going to be a ton of fun here at Dolphins Today. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you join us. Make sure you join us. As we are waiting for the Giants pick to get in here. A little bit of a wait. I think that he's going to, if I had to guess for Marshall, I think he's going to go Dart or he's either going to go Quinshot Judkins / Travion Henderson. He wants a running back in the round 2. Oh, he went Emeka Egbuka. So the slippage for wide receiver Emeka Egbuka ends there. It does. I like the pick. I'm a little bit shocked he didn't go running back because he's talking so much about running backs. But, I mean, that's a slide for Egbuka, I think, in my opinion, and it's a good pick. I tell you, Patriots fans would be in shambles, which would make us happy. Because if Egbuka slid to day 2, and it would be the pick for them at 36? 38. Well, we have another wide receiver off the board, folks, because the Tennessee Titans went with Kyle Williams, the wide receiver from Washington State, a player, by the way, that has had a top 30 visit with Miami. So it's clearly someone the Dolphins could be interested in the second round. But Williams off the board to the Titans at 35. So the first 4 picks of the second round have occurred. Or excuse me, 3. Caleb Johnson to the Browns at 33. Emeka Egbuka to the Giants at 34. Kyle Williams to the Titans at 35, which leaves the Jacksonville Jaguars on the clock at pick number 36. This will be a simulated pick. I have to imagine they go offensive line, maybe? Or maybe they go trenches defensively. It's a simulated pick, so I have no clue. Fins Up points out the board is falling great for the Dolphins in this mock draft. I would agree. A lot of offensive weapons going, running backs, wide receivers, positions that aren't that big of a need for Miami, which could lead to a top offensive lineman falling or a defensive lineman. So I like where things are heading. Justin just said Chat Sports doesn't know how to draft. I forgot to go through and do the head scratching picks that were made. I feel like there hasn't been that many. There's been like 5, I think.
Nothing egregious, but a lot of meat is being left on the bone, in my opinion.
I agree. And this would be a great pick for Jacksonville at 36. It's Josh Simmons. So the top player on the ESPN big board goes off the board here at 36. It's a home run pick, I mean, for Jacksonville. It is. I think Simmons ultimately goes in the first round, but listen, he's on the board in round 2. That's an elite pick there. So Jacksonville takes an offensive lineman. Some would argue, by the way, this is the top offensive tackle, pure offensive tackle in the class. Some have argued that because there's questions about Membu playing inside. There's question about Will Campbell playing inside. There's questions about Kelvin Banks playing inside. But Simmons is a purebred offensive tackle. And some have said in the NFL draft circle that he is the best one there. And he goes off the board here at 36. Justin, why do I think there's a chance that our Chat Sports Dolphins 3-round mock draft might just end up being like the same mock draft that we've seen by ESPN over the last 2 weeks?
It's possible.
Because they've had corner at 13 overall, whether it's Barron or Will Johnson. And I'll just say, they've had ESPN, Field Yates and Mil Kiper, in the last 2 mock drafts they put out. It's been Darius Alexander, the defensive line from Toledo, at 48 each time. I will say this, and my assistant GMs, Jonathan Soto and Fins Up, will make their choice. And then if they have the same pick, that's what it is. If it's different, I'll decide between the 2. But I prefer Tyler or TJ Sanders from South Carolina. But we'll see. Pick is in for the Raiders at 37. They go with the offensive guard, Tyler Booker. I'm actually glad he went off the board, Justin, because I didn't want us to have to face that decision if he was there for Miami. Because, yes, he is a mauler. Yes, he is a good pick. But I do not want Booker in Miami because he is not a good scheme fit. I don't think he is a good pick for the Dolphins at 48, even if he was there. So I'm glad he's off the board. And when you look at my big board for the Dolphins at 48, we've only seen one player go off the board. And if you're playing deal or no deal, it's the best one. It's number 8. It's Tyler Booker. So my top 7 guys for the Dolphins at 48 entering the draft are still there, which makes me quite happy as we're about 10 picks away from the Dolphins' second-round selection. And let's hope and pray that TJ Sanders and Darius Alexander are still going to be there, and we'll decide potentially between those two. Well, pick 38 is in for the New England Patriots, and they go wide receiver Trey Harris from Ole Miss. So that is now 3 wide receivers in the first 6 picks of the second round. Harris, you saw Agbuka and Kyle Williams from Washington State. 6'2". I actually don't hate Trey Harris. I would be interested if the Dolphins would think about taking him, if they knew they were trading Tyreek Hill. But that's an interesting pick from New England. It is. Yeah, we've been running smooth over here. Been running smooth. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I like Trey Harris. And you know what? Can I be stereotypical here, Justin? No. Well, we're not going there. Ole Miss wide receiver, sign me up.
Elijah Moore doesn't.
Okay, I might have only been thinking of the last two, DK Metcalf and AJ Brown, but for whatever reason, I'll buy the history of Ole Miss wide receivers.
Who's the Dante Moncrief?
See, from Ole Miss?
Yeah. I'm gonna put that theory to test, Rolly.
Listen, I'll be very transparent. I am not a college football historian. If you rank the major sports out there, and you include college football, college basketball with MLB, hockey, football, NBA, and stuff like that, college football is the second to last on my list. Hockey is dead last. College football is second to last. So I from the Northeast, I just don't pay attention that much to college football. I've started to a lot more now that we live in Dallas, Texas, because Saturdays are basically Sundays down here. Because in the Sundays, it's NFL Supreme. In the Southeast, it's college football city.
Yeah, so really the only thing, a lot of people like college football more than NFL, I think.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. So I've paid more attention recently, but since I moved down here. But in the 2010s, I didn't really care that much. I didn't. Pick is in for the Bears at 39. Offensive lineman Josh Connerly from Oregon. That's a good pick. It's a good pick. I think Connerly's a good player. I'm intrigued to see if he can move into guard. Listen, and that's kind of the main storyline for this entire offensive line class, Justin. It feels like almost every offensive tackle, you could argue, can play guard.
Yeah, for the most part. I'm not sure that bodes well if you need a tackle. Because if you could play tackle, you typically don't get moved to guard.
Right.
So, good. I guess a good thing the Dolphins have Patrick Paul. Believe it or not.
Yeah, it's a good thing the Dolphins drafted him last year. I am curious, and I would love to talk to some NFL evaluators if I was able to ever talk to one, where Patrick Paul may rank amongst offensive tackles in this draft class. I would be intrigued. You know what? If any of the draft analysts have their DMs open on Twitter, I might shoot them a DM today after the live show. See if they respond. Because I'd be intrigued. All right, top available, according to ESPN, Donovan Jackson, Siobhan Revel, Travion Henderson, Maxwell Harrison. I'll be honest, folks. I didn't put him on my big board because I thought he was a lock to go ahead of us. Even if the defensive linemen are on the board, I would take him over them.
Move him to guard.
Well, he is a guard. I don't know why we have him listed as an offensive tackle. I know ESPN listed him as an offensive tackle. To me, Donovan Jackson is a left guard.
That's because they moved him.
Yeah, if he's on the board at 48, it would be very, very hard to fucking pass up on that. And I'll say that right now. And we're inching closer to Miami's pick at 48 because Mason Taylor, the tight end from LSU, a player I know Miami would be interested in, and fans want, son of Jason Taylor, third tight end off the board, goes ahead of Elijah Arroyo and goes to the Saints at 40. And then we already have the pick in at 41. And it's Quinshawn Judkins, the running back from Ohio State. and we already have the pick in for 42. It's a dagger. So this is the first player that we got sniped on. We got sniped on TJ Sanders. That's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow. That's a tough pill to swallow. At least for me. I don't love that. Fucking Jets. God damn it, Jets. Justin says, glad Jets took Sanders and not Alexander. I like TJ Sanders over Darius Alexander. I feel like I differentiate with Dolphins fans on that one. I like Sanders. I do. I like him. He's got explosiveness. He had one of the highest pass rush win rates last season in the SEC. I really like TJ Sanders. He would have been my pick at 48. Not the case. Say this. Donovan Jackson's still there. The brain trust of me, Soto, and Fins Up are going to have a tough decision if it's between Darius Alexander and Donovan Jackson. And another pick's there. It's Maxwell Hairston, the corner. That's a good pick for San Fran. Them going Jalen Walker, Maxwell Hairston would be an unreal first two picks for San Francisco. I got to be honest, just off memory of what other teams have done, I like the 49ers draft the best. I mean, I think Jalen Walker is a stud. I think he might go as high as 4. There's a world where I think the Patriots could go Walker at 4. And they get him at 11 and then get a top 5 corner who's got unbelievable athletic traits at 43. I love that haul for the Niners. All right, we're getting closer and closer. We're officially on the clock graphic. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 picks until us. Darius Alexander's still there from Toledo. Donovan Jackson's still there as well.
All right, the 3 GMs. Corner been addressed. O-line, D-line are the next 2 big things. Do I need to go through the big board?
I think so.
I think we got a lot of great options.
I think we do. I would be, the way this draft has went, and unless we have the worst possible scenario of all scenarios go in the next 4 picks, I think Miami would be pretty happy about the board shaking out. We'll show you my big board here in just a second, but let's go through ESPN's big board at offensive line and defensive line, Justin. Whatever one you want to start with is fine by me. We'll start with the offensive linemen. These 4, all right, I think Essery is a tackle. I think Belton is a hybrid. Donovan Jackson's a guard. Now, I feel like we're missing guards here. This is killing me. All right, I'm going to close out the live chat for a second. Let me look at guards. Tate Ratledge is on the board. Willie Lampkin's on the board. Donovan Jackson. That Ozzy guy, by the way, 6'8". Mammoth of a being. Not going to see him move inside the guard. Yeah, so the top interior offensive linemen are, to me, Donovan Jackson, Marcus Mabau from Purdue, maybe, Jonas Savayanea, and then that other bull, Jared Wilson, or in Tate Ratledge. Those are my top interior offensive linemen. On the defensive line, Darius Alexander, Tyleek Williams, Alfred Collins, C.J. West. I'd also throw Deion Walker there as probably my 5th guy. But I would actually probably have these 4 in order as the defensive lineman for Miami.
Y'all are the GM. I'm the scout. I think, this is my 2 cents. If we hold out, I think if Donovan Jackson is there, we run up to the podium.
I mean, listen. I know I'll talk to the brain trust of Soto and Fins Up. But I'm telling you right now, If Donovan Jackson's on the board at 48, that would be my pick. I would pass up on defensive line, and I would take him because I think he's that good on the interior. And you would have a good offensive lineman. You'd have a good offensive lineman. Well, the pick is in for Dallas at 44. It's going to be, Justin, thoughts? Travion Henderson. You say you don't like people who tap out. This is your Cowboys. You go Henderson at 44, McMillan at 12. How are you feeling?
Slightly ill.
Slightly ill. Who would you rather have had, knowing on the board?
On the board?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Because, there was some corners. You already drafted a wide receiver. You know the offensive lineman. You know the defensive lineman. I don't know the needs for Dallas like that.
The sad part is, I think this might have been a no-brainer pick.
You go rotate through them all. Maybe Elijah Arroyo at tight end. Maybe.
Maybe Schlesinger.
Maybe
Siobhan Revel.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would have gone Siobhan Revel.
Revel gone corner?
Yeah. But, consolation prize, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, the Cowboys went Travion Henderson at 44. The Colts simulated pick at 45 goes Nick Rohloff, the edge from Texas A&M. We've got 2 picks ahead of us, guys, and both Darius Alexander and Donovan Jackson are still there. I'm nervous. I'm sick. Oh, my God, I'm sick. Because the Falcons went JT Tuimoloau. Oh, my God. So, guys, Soto fins up. We're up next. Is it this simple? Is it this simple to say if Jackson or Alexander gets picked at 47 ahead of us, we just go with the other? But I'll be intrigued to see we're on the clock in the chat. All right, go. So, fins up. Soto, we're on the clock. The wide receiver, Eric Ayuminor from Stanford, goes to 47. Soto, fins up. Let me know who you want. Oh, God. Quickly. Fins up, says Donovan Jackson. Soto says Darius Alexander. This is why we have a 3-man booth. I made my decision. Fins up, said Donovan Jackson. Soto said Darius Alexander. The pick is submitted. I'm not going to tell the people which one I chose. We'll flash it on screen once the graphic is in. Did I jump the gun? I just saw it in. I know I wasn't told I was on the clock, but the pick is in. Sorry. I want to respond, but I'm not going to cloud up production. I'm not going to cloud up production. All right, the pick is almost in for Miami. Here it is. I had to. I'm sorry. I know we talk about defensive line being a bigger need for the Dolphins and left guard. The truth is, I think Donovan Jackson is a first-round pick. I think he is. So if he magically fell to the Dolphins at 48, I just don't know how I would pass up on him. I don't. I know Soto's not happy. I sided with Fins up on this one. Listen, I think he's a guard. I do. He's on Tom Downey's board, a top 32 guy, and I think on ESPN he was a top 32 guy. He's got strength at guard. He played a little bit of tackle last year for Ohio State. I like him, man. I like him. I know we kind of pigeonholed ourselves into a defensive lineman in our next pick, but to me, I went best player available. I love Darius Alexander, but I went best player available over Darius Alexander.
We're sitting at an A+ right now.
I would be thrilled. I would be thrilled. Athletics Dane Brugler on Donovan Jackson. Jackson's sustained and recovery hiccups must be addressed by an NFL coaching staff, but his athletic traits and play strength should translate well to the next level. He projects as an NFL starter, and his tape shows a player with true tackle guard versatility. What do we say for the Dolphins? Chris Grier values versatility on the offensive line. He wants players that can play outside and inside. That happened with Liam Eichenberg, happened with Austin Jackson, it happened when they signed Isaiah Wynn. Jackson has the traits to be a left guard. It has the traits to be... In your offensive line being Paul, Donovan Jackson, Aaron Brewer, James Daniels, and Austin Jackson would be very good. I don't know. I couldn't believe he fouled to us. I couldn't believe it.
Might I throw this caveat in there too?
All right, let's hear it.
Year one, you highlighted who the O-line is. Let's say Patrick Paul stinks up the joint. Guess who can move to left tackle?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It provides you with, assuming Donovan Jackson isn't the worst left guard of all time, you could kick him out to left tackle and feel good about your depth at the position. I'm seeing build. My GM co says Finn A. Noodle says B. Soto didn't get his way with Alexander. He goes B-. Vib says A-. Santiago A+. Brian A. Dean B+. Jay the Fox A-. Ponyboy says B. Tristan says C because there are good guards in free agency but no D tackles in free agency. But how do you know we're going to sign an offensive lineman? Listen, I want my BPA. I love Darius Alexander, but I like Donovan Jackson a little bit more. And that's why when it was between the two, that's why we're a group of three, and unfortunately, it was 2-1 in favor of Donovan Jackson. It's a good point from Fins Up. You can also play Donovan Jackson at right guard and move James Daniels to left guard to have a veteran next to Paul and not two first-year starters on the left side of the O-line, which is a good point.
The offense would be ready to go.
I mean, your offense is set. You don't have to sign an offensive player the rest of free agency.
We can go defense the rest of the draft after this pick.
I mean, really, if you drafted him, your offensive line starters are set. You got your wide receivers. You got your tight ends. You got your QB. You got your running back. Ball up top. Let's roll. Ball up top. Let's roll. All right, couple picks. Tyleik Williams, the defensive tackle from Ohio State, goes off the board ahead of Darius Alexander. And then the Seahawks, who I thought they were going to go with a guard in round 1 and Gray Zabel. They didn't. They went Colson Loveland. They go with the guard here in round 2 from Georgia, Tate Ratledge. All right, James. I see James in the chat saying that we should have been going double corner. I know corner is a big need, but you talk about signing players in free agency. The cornerback free agents are better than other positions. So I actually would argue the cornerback position is the best free agents left.
I mean, we could go corner in round 3.
I mean, hold on, I got slack here. Give me a second. I got to do something. If you want to talk to the people real quick, Justin, I have to respond to this and get this thing.
All right, guys. While Rolly's doing that, we'll take a look at the corners that are still available. Give me 1 second. Because I think when you see the list, I think we're in good shape if you wanted to double dip at corner or if you wanted to go defensive tackle in round 3. I think we had to pull the trigger on this one. All right, so Siobhan Revel's still there. Isaiah Thompson is still there. Benjamin Morrison is still there. Darian Porter is still there. Let's see. I mean, how do we feel about safety? Almost all the safeties are still there.
I do agree that we have to go probably DB or I mean D line in our next pick, but it's also hard to say if one of these top safeties falls. Am I supposed to not want to take them? We'll see how the board falls.
And then theoretically, we still haven't lost a defensive tackle yet.
We lost Tyleik Williams.
Okay, yes, I forgot about him. I think we could still get Alfred Collins.
There's a world. There's a world where he's there. Look, I like CJ West from Indiana. I think he could be a day one starter. So that's my guy. If CJ West is there, that's my guy. I also would argue Jordan Phillips from Maryland would be a pick. I don't hate Jordan Farmer or Joshua Farmer to me from Florida State. Like, there's options. Like, let's not act like we're not going to be able to potentially find a good defensive lineman with our next pick.
All right, so here's what I'm saying. Next pick, Elijah Arroyo. We don't need a tight end.
Seahawks are up again? Did they just make it? They have 2 second rounders that close?
Yeah, Gino.
That's right. And it's Jared Wilson, the center. So he went back-to-back interior offensive linemen from Georgia. Jared Wilson and Tate Ratledge.
All right, guys. Y'all can yell at us. The simulator screwed us over.
He was never making it to third round, though. Like, I don't think he was screwing over. He was never making it to the third round. That was fool's gold.
98 is our next pick, guys.
That was fool's gold. All right, so I finished doing what I had to do there. So we're back. 85 people watching. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that thumbs up icon. Only 66 likes. It'd be pretty cool if we got 85 likes for 85 people watching. Eric says, I think the Finns should move up and acquire an additional third round, offer 2 fourths and a 7th. You know, honestly, I'd be in on that. I would be actually in. So the Dolphins have 10 picks. If the way the board fell out right now, with us going Will Johnson in the first round and then Donovan Jackson in round 2, I would absolutely think about trading both 4th rounders for a 3rd round pick, because you could take one of your D linemen and maybe even a safety in the 3rd round, 2 3rd rounders. Would you rather have a 3rd rounder and 2 fourths or 2 3rd rounders?
Give me the 2 3rd rounders.
I'll take the 200. I'll take 4 top 100 picks. No, Soto, I agree. I know we need D tackle. I am not ruling out safety with our next pick. I'm not. I know it would be dicey, but I wouldn't rule it out. All right, so we have 3 picks in a row. They were all simulated. We're back. Landon Jackson, the edge from Arkansas, at 54. Then we have Jack Besh, the wide receiver, going to the Chargers at 55. Was 56 in 2 or no? No, so 56 is Buffalo. We're almost done with round 2 here. What do we got? 9 picks left? Yeah, 64, right? Yeah, I'll tell you what, Xavier Watts is still there. Watts, could he make it to round 3? He won't make it to the end of round 3 because that's where the Dolphins are picking. But
what about this? Would you? Let's play a hypothetical game. Give me 1 second. What do you think the cost is to get at the top of the 3rd round?
check the draft chart. Check the draft chart. So hypothetically, the first pick of the third round is worth 265 value points. It would probably have to be your 98th pick in both your fourths. Based off the value chart, it's 265 for the 65th pick. The Dolphins' third round pick is 108. And then 62 plus 38. So the trade value chart doesn't even say that's worth it for New York.
Let's wait.
I'll say this, Justin. The Dolphins' 2 fourth-round picks are valued a combined 62 plus 38.5, so 100 and 100. The 2 fourth-round picks for the Dolphins are valued at 100. That would be the 100th pick. That's worth 100. So you could always offer two. Well, would you offer 2 fourths and a fifth? That would be kind of tough. You could also 2 fourths and a future pick.
Maybe next year's.
Two. How about this? 3 fourth-round picks. 2 fourths this year and a future fourth for the 86th pick, which is in the middle part of the third round.
Let's bring it back up when we get around to that point. See who's on the board.
I agree. Are you stunned by the lack of quarterbacks going off the board in round 2?
No, because I know who's drafting.
Yeah, and most of us don't have a high feeling on these QBs. So, yeah. All right. We'll cycle through the second round so far as the Bills are on the clock at 56. We'll start in the second round, pick number 1. This was the first 4 picks of the second round. I guess the only stunner here to me was Kyle Williams of the Titans. Like, they need a wide receiver, sure, but is that the right one? I don't know. Then the next slate of picks are interesting. Booker, Trey Harris, Connerly, Taylor. No strong feelings on any of those picks. I'm glad Booker went off the board for Miami before Miami was up. All right, then we move on to the next slate. First dagger thrown when TJ Sanders was drafted by the New York Jets. That was the first dagger. I wanted Sanders. I would have been having a tough decision between Sanders and who we ultimately went with, which was Donovan Jackson, the offensive lineman from Ohio State. I know defensive line is a big need. But I think you have to take best player available at most points in the draft. I think Will Johnson was the best player available on the board when we were picking at 13. But I also think he was the best player available at a position of need. So it was a no-brainer for Will Johnson. And with offensive guard and defensive line both being a big need for Miami, I just went with the best player available. And I think Donovan Jackson is a first-round type of guy. I think Darius Alexander is a early to mid-second round guy. So I took the best player on my board, Donovan Jackson, who fills a need. I like that pick. I do. I know some people wanted to go D-line. I like that pick. Couple interior offensive linemen to Seattle, Tate Ratledge and Jared Wilson. Tyleik Williams goes to the Bengals, the pick after us. And then the next slate of picks here, off the board goes Xavier Watts. So the Smitty here picking for the Bills went Xavier Watts and Trey Amos, 2 defensive backs for Buffalo. Complete overhaul. Next couple of picks in here quickly. Siobhan Revel, the corner, goes. That's kind of tough. Revel staying in Carolina is tough. Revel and J.C. Horn in the back secondary is kind of raw.
Ooh, chills.
That's kind of
as
raw.
You would say.
I mean, that also.
The all Carolina secondary?
I was going to say, I think South Carolina, J.C. Horn, that's cool. I also think that the Panthers have top 5 aura in the NFL with their jerseys. So those 2 corners, J.C. Horn and Revel, could just be dripped out in that secondary making plays.
The powder blue or the black?
I think I like the black better.
I agree.
The black with the powder blue accents on the jersey, unbeatable. We also saw Ariante Essery go off the board at 58. And then our guy, someone that I would have contemplated at 48 if the board fell a certain way, the guard from Arizona, Jonah Savayanea. I like him a lot for Miami in the second round, but wasn't the right pick for us. He goes off the board there at 59. And then Braden Swinson just went to the Lions, a simulated pick, the edge from LSU. Number 60. I got to be honest. Maybe it's because the Dolphins, I don't think, are going to draft an edge early, and I haven't done a lot of scouting at that position early in the draft. Who is Braden Swinson?
He's like one of those players that caught steam second half of the draft evaluation.
Okay.
It's he's kind of a twitched up edge, kind of. I guess I don't want to call it a poor man's Michael Williams, but in that same type of vein.
I just gotta be honest. Haven't done much of Braden Swinson evaluation. So what do we got here? 4 more picks in the second round. No comp picks happened in the second round, so we got 4 more picks to go here. Pick is in. Oh, another safety. Kevin Winston Jr. So 2 safeties off the board here late in the second round. This is an intriguing player, Winston Jr. I like him a lot. You wonder how far he slides in the actual draft because of his injury that he suffered, a torn ACL in, unfortunately, the beginning of this collegiate season. Was a projected first-round pick prior to this collegiate season beginning. Good player last season. Intriguing there. So you look at the board here, and I know this is Chat Sports making the picks. I don't think there's a world where Jackson Dart's still there in round 3.
Again, I know who's making the picks here. That's why.
I don't think Jackson Dart is, an unbelievable first-round talent, but I just know how quarterback drafting works in the NFL and how much they are valued more than other positions. So they're going at worst in the top 15 picks of the second round. We haven't had a quarterback go in the second round. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe there's a lot of pre-draft smoke with these quarterbacks. But Dart, Shuck, and Milroe all not going to this point in the mock draft as we're sitting here at pick 62. It just feels unrealistic. It does.
Even with that, too, we still got a lot of good players available.
Like Benjamin Morrison, Azariah Thomas. I'm not in on him, but Alfred Collins is a guy that I really want to see fall to the Dolphins at 98, but he's likely going to be a mid second round pick, early third round pick probably. That's the range for him. Well, I spoke too soon, folks.
How does he have all these picks?
The Bills have a lot of picks. I don't know how they have this pick. Because this pick is from the Commanders? No, the Commanders made a pick. Who finished? No, this is their own pick. Whose pick did they have the other one? They just made a pick 6 picks ago. Is that the? Oh, I think it might have been. Did the Texans trade a future second for Diggs? Because that was their range. Yeah, unfortunately, folks, Alfred Collins off the board of the Bills. Got to be honest, Smitty's, I think, killing this draft for the Bills. Smitty's taking the picks for the Bills. Off dome, the 3 picks they've made in the first 2 rounds, Alfred Collins, Trey Amos, and Xavier Watts. 3 guys that I have been heavily looking at for Miami. That's a bummer. Yeah, let's look at the Bills picks here. I like this move, Justin. I like this move. I don't know if it's... There it is. 3 picks for Bills in this mock draft. I hate it. And I pray to God this doesn't happen on draft night. If this happened on draft night, I might crash out, Justin. Because those are 3 good fucking picks. Those are 3 good picks. That would be devastating. That would be devastating. All right, so what we'll do here after the Chiefs and Eagles pick come in, Justin, we don't have to do a sponsor. So let's go through all the second round picks. Let's look at the best available and then ask the people who we should draft. Now, the bummer part about the third round here for the Dolphins today is that we have to wait till the very end. Because we're at 98 with the comp picks. Oh, I know with an absolute certainty that the Giants will be taking a quarterback with the first pick in this third round. No doubt about it.
It would be extremely unrealistic if they took anything else.
I'll just be curious to see whether Marshall goes with Jackson Dart or Milrow. Because he doesn't like shock, so it'll be one of those two. All right, the pick is in for the Chiefs. 63, wide receiver Jalen Noel from Iowa State, a speedy guy who also had a really good Senior Bowl. The two Iowa State wide receivers, Noel and Higgins, both had excellent post-college season, months, let's say. Pre-draft process, they've been killing it. Both had over 1,000 yards. They both were really good in this draft circle, let's just say. So Noel goes off the board here for the Chiefs at 63. And I believe the last pick has been $264. Okay, so they want common driver across the board here. So let's just do grade. Do we have a graphic of the Dolphins 2 picks, top 2? No, you don't have to. I was wondering because I saw you had the 2, the scoreboard almost top left 2 with picks going back to back. Is there one specifically for Miami? But the last pick of, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. All right, so the last pick of the second round was offensive lineman Anthony Belton from NC State. Solid player there out of NC State. Okay, so let's do this, and then we'll grade the Dolphins mock draft so far. All right, so that was the last pick of the second round. We're going to take a quick pause as the Giants are on the clock. This is how the draft has fell for the Dolphins so far. Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan, at 13, and then Donovan Jackson, the offensive lineman who could play guard, can play tackle, but likely would be a starting left guard for the Dolphins at pick 48. The top 4 positions of need for Miami, in my opinion, goes 1A, 1B, cornerback, defensive line, 3 left guard, 4 safety. So we take these 2 guys. Go with Johnson. Go with Donovan Jackson. If this is how it fell, how would you feel? And let's just say this, because we made the picks. Grade the Dolphins mock draft to this point. Grade the Dolphins mock drafts so far. Let me know. Grade the Dolphins mock draft so far. You guys saw Will Johnson, Donovan Jackson for the Dolphins. How would you guys rate those selections for Miami? Still no issues. Money, money, money. Every Noodle says B-. Yes, I agree, says B. Aaron Prince says A. Stetson says A. Building says A. EMT says B. Charles says B-. Santiago says A. James Hammock says C+. Justin Michael says A+++. Adam says A. 20. That's awkward. 24. Josh says B+. Bill Lyon says A+. Robert B. JN A-. Eric Solid A. Dad Dean A. Listen, I'm not going to come up here and act like I'm the best GM of all time, but it would hard for me to not be through the roof in making each of those picks with the situation in the hand we were dealt. I'm sorry.
I think we got 2 first-round players.
I think we did too. I think Donovan Jackson has a chance to go 25 to the Texans. We get him at 48? That's our starting left guard. I'd be thrilled. I would be absolutely thrilled, man. All right. We're restarting. 3:55 Eastern, 2:55 Central Time. The third round is underway. The third round is all underway. Aaron Prince, I do agree. That's the flip side. The defensive lineman class is deep, so you can afford to maybe push that off as the interior offensive lineman draft is not that deep. But the flip side is there's better free agent offensive linemen out there than there is defensive linemen. So you have to value or balance. Do you want to go sign a veteran offensive lineman, or do you want to wait and get a player late day 3 or late day 2? Pick your poison. It's a good point, Aaron Prince. Great point. So the Giants are starting off this third round on the clock with pick 65. Where do you think he goes? I think he goes Milroe or Dart, and it's unrealistic to think that if this board played out, the Giants wouldn't take a quarterback here. I think he's going to go Dart. Oh, boy. You have. So Justin can't comment. This is becoming not a joke, but like, I get it. If we're acting as the GMs, that's what we would do as GMs. But if you have to take into account a little bit of what is to be expected, there is no world where the Giants would take Omar Norman Lott over Milroe or Dart to start the third round. They might take him in the first round. They might trade up to get one of those guys. Whatever.
Very poor of the exercise not to have even Jackson Dart picked in the first 3 rounds.
I guess the point of this is just to make sure everything works graphically and the new hires understand all the graphics at the disposal, but it is shocking to see no quarterbacks go here. And that's obviously unrealistic. It is. So I'm trying to think. Now that we saw Omar Norman Lott off the board, who is the best players available? I do actually think Omar Norman Lott is good. A defensive lineman I would have absolutely considered with the third round pick for Miami. I think I like CJ West a little bit more from Indiana. I think he's the top defensive lineman available. It sounds a little unlikely he's going to be there for us at 98. But here are the top players available. Carson Schlesinger, the linebacker from UCLA, who, by the way, if he's there, I might take him. I might want to take him at 98. Azariah Thomas at 48 overall, number 2 here. Benjamin Morrison still on the board. Jackson Dart is still there as well. Next slate of players, Marcus Mabau, a guard that I am intrigued with. I would certainly be thinking about Mabau in the third round in the draft if we didn't already take Donovan Jackson. Milroe at 6, Emory Jones at 7, Darian Porter at 8, the corner from Iowa State. And then the next slate of guys, according to ESPN, DJ Giddens from Kansas State, Jordan Birch from Oregon, Aladejo from UCLA, Wyatt Mullum from West Virginia. Can we just let's go to the specific defensive linemen here. Let's go defensive lineman and then safety. These are the top 4 defensive linemen on the board. CJ West, Jamari Caldwell, Deion Walker, and JJ Hughes. I'll say this. Take away Caldwell, I would be happy with JJ Walker or CJ at 98. I would also be happy with this man, Andrew Makuba. If he was somehow there at 98, it would be hard for me to pass on Makuba. I prefer Bowman Jr. and Sanker over Lathan Ransom, but good options there as well. It's not that I don't like Caldwell. I just prefer What's it called? I just prefer the other three more. So we had Joshua Farmer, a defensive tackle from Florida State, I would have been intrigued with at 66. He goes to the Kansas City. And then Benjamin Morrison's slide finally stops here at 67 as he goes to the Cleveland Browns. Charles, I agree. I like Jonas Sanker. I don't think Sanker's getting enough talk. He was productive. His traits were okay. I think Sanker is going to be a fine safety in the NFL. Good rotation guy. Nothing special, but an average guy. And if you're getting an average starter in the third round, I think you take that. We do. We still got 30 picks until we're on the board. So we have to survive a lot here. Yes, I agree. Yes, you should watch Sanker film if you could. So Morrison, the most recent pick.
I know the football character is horrible.
Is it?
Well, this next person I'm about to say.
Okay.
But do we circle Deion Walker?
Yes. That is the concern, is that he could be an absolute bust because his football character. But I think the tools and traits of Deion Walker are going to be a little bit hard to ignore if he's there at 98. But we got Carson Schlesinger off the board, the most productive linebacker in football last season. Gets taken off the board here to Las Vegas. Schlesinger was actually mock drafted to the Dolphins at pick 48 in an ESPN mock, I think about a month and a half ago. Soto, I do agree, actually. He says he's not opposed to a cornerback in round 3. If, like, one of these guys slipped up to 98, I would contemplate it. Corners I would think about taking at 98 and doubling down would be Azariah Thomas. Even though I'm not the highest on him, I take the gamble at 98. Darian Porter, Dorian Strong. Those three are guys I would contemplate at 98. But Schlesinger off the board here. Who went for Kansas City? They took Farmer, right, from Florida State? Yeah. Joshua Farmer from Florida State, the defensive lineman. Yeah. Parrish ain't bad. Here are the top corners. So they don't have Dorian Strong on here unless he went off the board here and I missed it. But ESPN doesn't have Dorian that high? I thought it was. These are the top corners available. I would contemplate taking him, and probably Dorian Strong for Virginia Tech at number 98. I would. All right. So who's on the board right now, Justin? Is it the Patriots? Who'd they go with at 69? Nice. He's told me to close my eyes. Let me know when I can open. Jesus Christ. Are you serious? Cam Scatabo. Scatabum. Who's the other running backs on the board? I swear there's better ones. Who are the other running backs on the board that Ali Barefoot took Cam Scatabo over? It's an out pick. Wait, no, is it? These are 5 through 8, so who's 1 through 4? Oh, yeah. Devin Neal, way better.
I would argue 5 through 8 are better.
Who was 5'8" again?
Samson, Martinez, James.
I like Damian Martinez more than Scatabo for sure.
All 8 of these are better.
I can make an argument for... I think the only person I would argue is Tutton.
Tutton actually has NFL speed.
Sometimes he does have speed, but Scatabo is a dog. I'll give him that. But I would not have taken him there.
Everybody in the NFL is a dog.
No, that's not true. There's some soft mother effers in the NFL.
They don't play defense, though.
There's some soft mother effers, man. Yeah, Harrison is off the board. Soto, I'm glad to hear that your niece is okay. Prayers up to everything and everybody at Florida State. And yes, Trevor Etienne is the younger brother of Travis Etienne. All right, so pick 70. Did we have that go off the board yet? To the Jags. Simulator won Xavier Restrepo. Now, it's funny because Restrepo is actually a projected second-round pick coming into the pre-draft process, but ran a horrific 40-yard dash, and next thing you know, his stock is falling. Now, we did say he ran that 40-yard dash hurt. Now, don't know if that's accurate or not, but Restrepo off the board to the Jags at 70. And then another wide receiver off the board to the Saints at 71, Jalen Royals, the Utah State wide receiver. I actually sneaky like Royals. Didn't have the most production last season, but I do think he will translate to the NFL. I like Royals as a mid-round guy. Like mid-round guy. Like him as a mid-round guy. All right, so now we move on to pick 72, where I think the Bears are on the clock. Am I right on that? Pick is in. So we're flying here now, baby. This is what we like to see. I'll also say this, for the 73 people watching, make sure you stay tuned because we're going to do a Q&A after this mock draft. Q&A after the mock draft. All right, the next pick. I wouldn't say a dagger because it was always unlikely that he made it there, but the Bears went with the Texas safety, Andrew Makuba. It's a good pick. Would have contemplated going with him at 98 over a defensive lineman. Would have also contemplated going with this guy over a defensive lineman at 98. Because Azariah Thomas, the corner from Florida State, off the board to the New York Jets. You know, the Jets have just been a pain in our side today. Honestly, our division, besides the Patriots. Patriots took Trey Harris, Scattaboo, Campbell, not moved at all. But the Jets have taken Membu, Thomas, Sanders, scumbags, and the Bills have taken 3 picks too. All right, next pick is in for the Panthers. Princely. I guess I got to do some research on how to say this guy's name.
Umayale. I think that's how you
say that again.
Umayale.
Umin Malayan. Princely Umin Malayan. Close. Productive last season at Ole Miss. That's for sure.
He'll be better than Walter Nolan.
Whoa, that is like a crazy take. Is it?
I don't like guys that are lazy. Just because you're talented and can skate by doesn't mean it's going to bode well for you. You have to be like, okay, good example of this. I guess maybe Dez Bryant had the same type of character concern that Walter Nolan has. But Dez Bryant is 10 times better in college than Walter Nolan was in college.
Yeah.
So you can only get so by. You better jump off the page if you're going to be lazy.
Building, and Fins Up says he agrees he's better than Walter Nolan. I guess maybe it's not as...
That's why Building took my spot.
Maybe that's why Fins Up stole his spot. Justin was going to make the picks with me today. It did not end up being the case. Shout out to Soto and shout out to Building Fins Up. And I think we've done a fine job so far. We've got one more pick coming at 98. But hands up to us. We've been doing good. I like the way we have. Hopefully Soto and Fins Up are ready to go here in 24 picks when the Dolphins are on the clock again at 98. Has pick 75 come in yet, Justin? All right. Oh, I'm certainly considering Anus Peebles. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel. 76 people watching. We'll be live for the real NFL draft on Thursday night, Friday night, and then Saturday afternoon. we'll have you covered on videos in between now and then. So hit that sub button. Uh-oh. Soto, what happened? My electricity is back, but we're only open for another 50 minutes. What does that mean? Well, I assume we'll be up within the next 50 minutes. I assume we will be. So I think this mock draft, we start at 1:15. It's ultimately going to take 2 hours, 20 minutes. That checks out. Not that bad. It's been a fun experiment, to be honest. I've had fun. Hanging out with the Dolphins fans. Landon Jackson's a second-round pick every noodle. He already off the board. Landon Jackson went in the middle of the second round. Damn, that's crazy, Soto. That's crazy. Has the pick not updated yet? There we go, a lengthy one. A target for Miami on day 3 or day 2, but probably not one we would have taken because we went with Donovan Jackson. Marcus Mabau, the guard from Purdue, a player that the Dolphins met with at the Combine and will have interest with. They will have interest there. All right, we have another pick in, a corner, Noel Williams from California. This is your Cowboys making the pick. Thoughts?
This is fine.
So you guys went McMillan, Henderson, Williams.
Correct. Hey, I had a rule. Picks 1, 2, and 3. 2 of those have to be a wide receiver or running back. I don't care what you do with the third.
Okay. Well, the goal succeeded. Would you have rather went corner with one of the other top guys in round 2 and then taken one of the running backs still on the board here in round 3?
Let's see who the running backs are available.
I think Devin Neal's still there, who would be my top guy available.
I'm not going Devin Neal in the 3rd round.
You don't like Devin Neal?
I do, but
would you go Giddens? Would you go any of these guys in the 3rd round?
I would actually go Revel and ETN.
So you would go ETN over Neal?
Yes.
Interesting. All right, so we're continuing to moving on here. I guess we can remind people of our Super Chat menu real quick. We haven't had a Super Chat in a very long time, but we appreciate my guy Soto, my guy Frank O'Connor, my guy Building Fins Up, and everyone who has donated to the channel today. Remember, any $5 Super Chat, we're doing 5 push-ups. $10, we'll do a wheel spin. We haven't spun the wheel today because we've gotten 2 50s, a 20, and a 5. And we'll take a shot for 20. We took a shot earlier for Frank O'Connor. We take another for $20. We do 5 push-ups for $5, $10 for a wheel spin. Hanging out here for 2.5+ hours. It'll be ending up around 3+ hours, I think, when the stream officially ends. Here on a Tuesday afternoon, doing a full Chat Sports mock simulation here. I think it's been a lot of fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed for the people that have been with us for the most part here. Been a lot of fun. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. We'll have a party if you want. All right, the Patriots back up on the board, and they go with a edge rusher, Jordan Birch from Oregon. I think that might be their best pick of the draft so far at the Patriots today. Like, they're going Will Campbell, so that's kind of a shoo-in. But from there on out, I think Birch is the best pick. But we finally have a quarterback off the board. Jackson Dart to the Cardinals. I know it's just a simulation pick and not one that was actually made by one of us. I wouldn't know what to make of this pick if it happened on draft night.
I think the simulation just said I couldn't pass it up.
I think so, agree. Wow, PJ Haggerty entered the transfer portal. These are the 4 picks that the Patriots have made so far in this draft. Will Campbell, Trey Harris, Scatterboo, and Jordan Birch. I think their draft stinks. If this happened in real life, it would be horrible. It would be horrible. I would be so through the roof if Mike Vrabel and company made those picks. Be ecstatic. I think it's bad picks. I think Will Campbell could be good, but I don't like Trey Harris. I like Trey Harris. I think it's a little too early for Trey Harris. I definitely don't think Cam Scatterboo is worth a pick there at 69. Birch is an all right player. I like Birch in the 3rd round, but it's not enough to save the pick. Who went 78? Oh, that's right. Dart went 78. And then now the Texans are on the clock via Miami, by the way. Yeah, you want to pull up the defensive lineman still available? If we could show the defensive lineman available. The Texans are on the clock right now, courtesy of the Dolphins. This pick is going. Why is this courtesy of Miami, actually? I'm kind of I can't remember what trade it was.
Was it Tunsil?
And I looked at outgoing draft picks on Fanspo, and a 3rd rounder from Miami is not there. Texans, Dolphins trade. Am I just misremembering?
Hey, every noodle. I was just guessing. That's the only player I can think of trade between the 2 teams.
I don't remember a trade. Oh! Sorry. Now I remember. Dummy. The Dolphins traded their 2025 3rd-round pick to the Eagles for Jalen Wright. Last year in the draft. They traded to the Eagles for Jalen Wright, and then the Eagles must have traded it to the Texans in a trade. I forgot about that. I just saw via Miami to Houston, and I'm like, why the F? What is that from Miami? If you said that was Eagles via Miami, I would have remembered. But should it not actually be I know it's Miami's pick, but should it be via Philly? Because that's who traded them that pick. What are your thoughts on that? It's Miami's original pick, but it's from Philly.
I think it's so it's where it's slated in the order.
Yeah, I get it. All right, these are the top 4 defensive linemen. I tell you what, I would be intrigued with any of these guys. C.J. West is my top one. I'd be deciding between, I think, J.J. and Deontay Walker if they were both on the board. I would pass over Jamari Caldwell. But 79th pick, Wyatt Millum, the offensive lineman from West Virginia. I think this is a 3rd-round option for Miami. If the Dolphins go D-line corner with their first 2 picks and don't have an offensive lineman, I think Millum would be a good pick at 98 if he's available. Be actually pretty happy about that. All right, simulated pick here for the Colts. They take Demetrius Knight Jr., the linebacker from South Carolina, and then the Bengals go with another Ohio State defensive lineman, Jack Sawyer. They took Tyleik Williams earlier in this mock draft. So, intriguing player there. I'm still leaning one of those other defensive lines over Caldwell. I like Caldwell, but he's more of a nose tackle in my opinion. And yeah, I wouldn't hate a nose tackle pick for Miami, but I would rather have a 3-tech guy next to Zach Sealer than with like a 1-tech guy to work with Benito Jones. I think it's more important to get someone alongside Sealer than it is to get a nose tackle guy. Did we take a timeout? I just saw Brett say Seahawks at 320. Were we supposed to take a timeout? I don't remember seeing. Gotcha. So these are the best available. Milroe's top guy. Darian Porter's an intriguing corner, I'll be honest. We're 16 picks away. I'm praying that CJ West makes it. I don't think he'll end up making it, to be honest. I know there are some fans of CJ West in the Chat Sports office alongside myself. So I know that's going to be a hope, but I don't think it's a lock. Frazier, Riley, Trapilo, Caldwell. I don't think there's a player on the board right now, Justin. Whoa, ESPN has a Rondé Gadsden that high? He's been going in 7th round mock drafts on PFF. ESPN has him a top 100 guy? Interesting. Jalen Rivers, the guard from Miami, is someone that the Dolphins have met with twice. Kobe Bryant's interesting, honestly. I like him. They don't have my guy Dorian Strong on here from Virginia Tech. Must be low on him. ESPN. This is also Matt Miller's big board, I believe. I think we're using Matt Miller's big board. Our big board on this day will be Tom Downey's. Yeah. He's actually pretty good. I know you haven't been here for his draft, but he is pretty good. He took Ted McMillan.
Most obvious pick.
Oh, I'm just saying. Just saying. Wait a minute. What's going on here? I got to open up production. No, I already saw it, unfortunately. But So Tez Johnson off the board of the Seahawks here, 82. There's chaos going on at Chat Sports. All right, here's the pick. The Steelers go with Jalen Milroe out of Pittsburgh. The reason why this is so stunning is because Jack Sperry is the biggest Tyler Shuck fan that I have ever seen. Sperry has Tyler Shuck as his third quarterback in this draft, and he just went with him on the board with Jalen Milroe over Tyler Shuck. That's coward shit right there. Coward shit. Honestly, boo. I will say that's weak, dude. If you have what would be the reasoning if you have Shuck higher than Milroe? Why would you take? And I know it's a different, but if he's acting as the GM, why would he take Milroe over Shuck?
Considering he ain't going anywhere near he thinks he's going to go, this would be your time to prop him up.
Exactly. I don't understand. Jack Sperry will have to answer for his crimes. Answer. All right, next pick is in for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kyle Kennard, the edge from South Carolina. We're getting dangerously close to our pick. We're about 14 away. CJ West still there. Hope my guys are still ready to go with this pick. Thanks, Harrison. I don't give a shit, man. It was FYI, I actually like the pick. And no one cares. It's just all about them actually picking him going with Miller over Shuck.
Can't be yapping on social media and in the office all day talking about Shuck.
And then not pick him if he's there. It makes no sense. So Kennard, that's a good point. Is Shamar Stewart still there? No, he went, right? Turner, that's what I meant. Interesting. I kind of had him slip my mind.
We're talking about the other Texas A&M defensive lineman, right?
Yeah, Shamar Turner.
Yeah. I think he's still available.
You're telling me he's that low on ESPN's big board?
I don't think he's gone, but
I think we have to cycle. He didn't go through the first round. Let's cycle through the second round picks. Because if Shamar Turner is still here, I would take him over CJ West. He didn't go in the first round. We know that. Nick Scorton went in the second round. But I don't think Shamar Turner went. We're cycling through here. Starting the second round, no Turner. No Turner. No Turner. No Turner. There's Nick Scorton. No Turner. No Turner. No Turner. No Turner. And that's the end of the second round. So into the third round. No. 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 And they were caught up. Shamar Turner's there. And ESPN doesn't even have him even close to their big board. We haven't seen him once. Matt Miller. I got to be honest. I really like CJ West. I like Shamar Turner just as much. I think I like him more. So we have a new agenda. And I don't think he's going to get picked. Because unless people somehow have him memorized, he's not on any ESPN big board. Right? He didn't go in round one. So, all right then. I would be between CJ West and Shamar Turner if both are there with how the board has fallen. He's a little undersized, but he's a versatile defensive lineman, and that could play anywhere. I have a new agenda. Next pick is in. Ty Hamilton, defensive tackle from Ohio State. He was not on my board as an option for Miami. See, but that's also a player that was not on the top defensive lineman either, so PD went with his guy. Couple picks here. You saw Josiah Stewart, the edge from Michigan, go off. Then the Green Bay Packers went with Oluwafemi Oladejo, the edge from UCLA. And then Darian Porter, the corner from Iowa State, goes to 88. Even though defensive line is a big need, I would have been intrigued with the idea of drafting Darian Porter if he was on the board as a second corner. Because I like Porter. I think he's got the capability. I think he's someone that could potentially be worthy of a second-round pick. If a team likes him, I wouldn't hate him if they went second round. Experienced corner, but he's got great size to be a man guy on the outside. He's basically 6'3". Had 3 interceptions last year. I like Darian Porter, man. I like Darian Porter. All right. Yeah, let's look at the top available corners and just defensive linemen as we get closer and closer to the Dolphins pick here. Yeah, so with the corner, Quincy Riley, Kobe Bryant, Jacob Parrish, Zach Frazier. They're missing my guy Dorian Strong from Virginia Tech, though. So Matt Miller and I disagree on some players. That is for sure. That's for sure. But these are the top 4 corners. Do we have another list of the next 5 corners? 5 through 8? No? If not, that's fine. At defensive tackle interior, we still have CJ West there, Jamari Caldwell, Deion Walker, JJ Peggs. I like Shamar Turner more than... I would have Turner as my number 1 guy here. I would have Shamar Turner 1, CJ West 2, Walker 3, JJ 4, then probably either... Good question. No Shamar Turner anywhere to be found. Wild. I feel like I'm getting set up here, Justin, to type in Shamar Turner as the pick and then be like, he's off the board. Well, we've looked through it. He's there. I just can't imagine him being this low on Matt Miller's big board. That's kind of wild. Yes, Tristan. He is the guy from Texas A&M. That Texas A&M defensive front, they had Scorton, Shamar Stewart, Shamar Turner. Good group there.
They had Turner, Stewart, and Walter Nolan at one point.
That's true. The Rams are on the clock at 90 here. So we're up in 8 selections. Hopefully my co-GMs are ready to go. The Texans went with tight end Terrence Ferguson out of Oregon. You know what? Let's flash our, after we show this pick, let's showcase our tight ends, because tight end is an option for Miami at the spot. Then also let's look at safety. But Tyler Shough, there he goes in the 3rd round to the Rams, the QB out of Louisville, the 25-year-old. He'll be 26 as a rookie. Wild. It's not a bad pick. At this point in the draft, I actually don't think it's a bad pick. I'm not high on him. I don't think he's that good. But based off what I've been hearing about him going maybe round 1, early round 2, you get him at the end of round 3, I think that's fine value.
To sit behind another old man.
Yeah, you sit behind Stafford for a year or 2, and then
at the age of 30, you start.
First starting year at 29. Maybe you get good 10 years out of him. At tight end, I know he started off as the second best, or second or third best tight end, Justin, Harold Fannin Jr. I would be slightly intrigued taking him or Gunnar Helm in the 3rd round. I would. As a Texas alum, you're not sold? I definitely would lean defensive line or safety because I think there's good players on the board at those positions still. But I would be hard-pressed not to be interested.
I think you could wait if you wanted to. The Dolphins have a 4th, don't they?
2 fourths.
Yeah. You could pick the remaining one.
You think both would be on the board in the mid-4th round? I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Especially with your pick being the late 3rd, and if they were both already there. Yeah. Or because this is a compensatory 3rd, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would wait in the 4th.
Definitely a move. All right, so the Ravens are on the clock at 91. Could they go tight end? They need a potential Mark Andrews replacement unless it's just Isaiah Likely season. Which wouldn't shock me if they just went with Likely, but then they need to still get a tight end. 2, excuse me. But they go with a corner, Kobe Bryant out of Kansas. I like Kobe Bryant.
Favorite prospect in the draft.
Yours?
Yeah.
Really?
I love me some junior year Kobe Bryant.
He was very good. Now, I assume you're talking about last year.
As in this last college season? Or
no, not this year, the year prior.
Yes.
Okay. No, Kevin Winston went at the end of the 2nd round. Yeah, Bowman's still there. Let's go through the safeties because I'll be honest, there's safeties that I like still on the board. So I think the brain trust here of Soto, me, and Fins up are going to have a tough decision between safety and D lineman at 98. Because when you look at the top safeties on the board in this mock draft, I like what I'm seeing. I like Bowman. I like Sanker. I do. And these are the guys available. Top 4, according to ESPN. Now, they're not my top 4. Now, I would have Bowman as my top guy. Sanker as my number 2. I would probably put Ransom 3, Mickens 4, and if you had a 5th guy on there, I would put Malachi Moore from Alabama. But I think you could also, the way the board's falling, Justin, I would have to assume that you could wait and get one of these guys with one of your fourth-round picks.
Yeah, with the pick being so close, I think you have to kind of roll the dice on the person that you're not as strong on.
Like 114 is when the Dolphins pick in the fourth round. So only, what is that, 16 picks after the third-round pick?
Because which one were you not high on?
Safeties?
Of these four.
The least high is Mickens at 4. To me, it goes, I would have Bowman, Sanker, Ransom, Mickens.
I think between those three, you pick a D. Let's look at the D tackles right now. I feel like one of these three is guaranteed to be there.
But I'll say this, Justin. The more we see the board, and listen, this is not the real draft. You include these 4 plus Shamar Turner. Are all 5 of them off the board when we pick at 114?
That's why I'd probably go Turner.
So you would go Turner.
I would go Turner or another defensive tackle. I would be willing, honestly.
But I think one of these guys would be there in the fourth round, hypothetically.
Sure, Deion Walker would be.
See, this is why it's tough to draft, man. The gamble. All right, can we? Do we have any more picks in to catch up on? It's going to be tough, but hopefully my assistant GMs, Fins Up and Soto, are still here. So Kobe Bryant went 91. Then we talked about safeties and defensive linemen. 92, do we have that pick? Yes, we do. It's another corner. Seattle goes with corner Quincy Riley out of Louisville. Intriguing player. I prefer some other guys. Older corner. More of a nickel, I think, at the next level, but we'll see. And then this is a fun pick. The Saints go with Savion Williams, the wide receiver from TCU, a player that can play wide receiver, can play running back. He's huge. He's athletic, great with the ball in his hands. Savion Williams is a very fascinating player. And then Kyle McCord at 94 with the pick. So the Browns go with their quarterback selection, and it's Kyle McCord. I should have asked if we should be looking at the quarterbacks, because I know quarterback is an option for Miami. I don't think they should take one until the 4th or 5th round, whether it's Gabriel or Quinn Ewers or Curtis Rourke or something like that. But I do like McCord for them. I do. The top 4 quarterbacks on the board, according to ESPN. I'm trying to figure out if I would agree or disagree with this list. Now, if you're talking overall, I would probably have this list. Actually, I'd actually put Curtis Rourke from Indiana above Brosmer at 4. But in terms of the Dolphins, I would probably put Gabriel 1, Ewers 2, Howard 3. Yeah. I knew he was going to do that. He's obsessed with them. Yeah. He's also from that area, so it does make sense. They need a running back. I like Neil. You're very skeptical on Neil.
I am not skeptical on Neil. There's some the other running backs I would have taken over him. He follows my rule though. He gets 20 a game.
Yeah. It's all right, Soto. I appreciate you still being here. I know you're a little bit busy. Just remember, when we're on the clock and 2 picks here, because the 95th pick is in, so only Philly and Minnesota are ahead of us at the end of this mock draft 3rd round. You just got to be ready to go to submit your pick. Hopefully, Fins Up and Soto, you've been paying attention to who's still on the board, because we don't have a lot of time to be able to cycle through everything while we're on the clock. Remember, we only have a minute. But obviously, if you want to showcase the defensive linemen again real quick and safeties, I'd imagine we go in that direction. Soto and Fins Up. Shamar Turner's still there. CJ West is still there. JJ Peggs is still there. Deion Walker's still there. Jamari Caldwell's still there. Okay, so Soto feels pretty good about safety or D tackle. And then at safety, you still got Ransom from Ohio State. You still got Mickens from Clemson, Bowman from Oklahoma, and Sanker from Virginia. Those are probably the top 9 guys. I'm actually out on Sebastian Castro. I don't think his traits are good enough. Yeah, he's been productive at Iowa, but I think I would think about him in the second, fourth round pick, but I would not take him at 114 or 98. I would not do that. I might actually get spoiled here just so I can speed it up for us here on our end. Okay, so the Eagles are on the clock at 96. We have one, I think it's 114, or is it 116? I might have forgot my numbers messed up. All right, the Eagles are on the clock here at 96. They went with Jacob Parrish, the corner from Kansas State. So Soto and fins up. We're on the clock, basically. The Vikings are being simulated right now. I'm going to tell you who they pick. Vernon Broughton is off the board for the Vikings. So get your pick in. Get your pick in. Vernon Broughton went off the board in front of us. Who do we want? Who do we want? Who do we want? Soto, are you there? Fins up. Went with Shamar Turner. Soto. Soto. CJ West. Oh, I got to pick between the two. God damn it. So, unfortunately, I had to choose between Jonathan Soto, CJ West, and fins up Shamar Turner. 2 players that I wanted for Miami in this spot very much. They're both very good. I have submitted my pick. Who would you guys pick, Turner or West? It seems like it's about 65% Turner, 35% West. The pick is up. The pick is in. I went with Shamar Turner. I feel bad for siding with Dolphins the fins up both times. I'm sorry, Soto. I just feel like, but that's, hey, listen, we're a trio, and unfortunately, I just happen to side with Turner. I just like his versatility a little bit more, and to me, I think he could fill the void left by Calais Campbell, because when you look at his snaps last season, hold on, listen to this. This is just absolutely ridiculous stuff here. And I want to make sure I have the right statistics. You see his numbers on screen. When you look at Shamar Turner, he lined up in the A gap 92 times, B gap 377 times, over the out tackle, so basically not fully edge, but outside D line 48 times. So he is versatile to do a lot. And although he didn't have the best season rushing the passer, only having 2 sacks, having a pass rush win rate of 6.2%, he was excellent against the run at 7.9% run stop rate. And I think his versatility, his athleticism, and ability to stop the run is why I lean Turner a little bit more. Yes, he's a little bit small at 6'3" and at change, 290. But I like the athleticism. I like the quick first step. I like the versatility. That's why I went Shamar Turner over CJ West. Athletics Dane Brugler on Shamar Turner going that he needs to introduce more discipline to his play style, but he prides himself on being the aggressor and relies on his initial twitch, fierce hands, and combative mentality to be a factor. He projects as one of the best penetrating one-gap tackles. I think he would be a good pick inside, man. I think he would. Yeah, you know what? It's a good point by Fins Up here. Grade the pick, but also I want to know, who would you have went with? Shamar Turner or CJ West? I like both. I do like both. I kind of do agree as RJ Harvey went to the Giants right behind us at 99. No, I'm adding. I just want to see who we go for this. I'll say this. I wouldn't hate doubling down on D linemen. If CJ West was there still in the 4th round, I'd take him. Because you need a lot on that defensive line. I'll add 2 defensive linemen in the middle round. Got no issue. Best player available. Which one did Marshall go with? I guess so, because originally it was inputted as RJ Harvey, but now it's Miles Frazier. Miles Frazier, the guard from LSU, heads to. You know what, Justin? Can you showcase the people our 3 picks in this mock draft? Because we're rounding up here. We have what? 3 more picks left in this simulation. And we're not picking again, so I don't give a shit. Let's show the Dolphins 3 picks that we made, and then I want overall grades. How would y'all feel if this was the pick or the first 3 picks for Miami? No trades. Just flat out make your 3 picks at 13, 48, 98. How would you feel? Will Johnson, Donovan Jackson, Shamar Turner. How would y'all feel? We're not making any picks more on this live show. It was only a 3-round live mock here with every channel here at Dolphins. But I feel like you get a potential day 1 starter for Miami at Shamar Turner. I think you've got starters right away at a position. And maybe they stink in training camp in the preseason. You have to change your opinion. But on paper, going into training camp in the preseason, Will Johnson's one of your 2 starting outside corners. Donovan Jackson's your starting left guard or right guard. And Shamar Turner's your defensive lineman 2 to Zach Sealer. And I wouldn't complain about that. I wouldn't. I'd get nervous a little bit about Shamar Turner being able to be a day 1 starter due to his undersized frame. But I like it. I do. Grade it. I know we graded the Dolphins pick. Grade the 3-round mock. Taz says A-. Every Noodle says B+. Justin B+. Robert B. Aaron Prince B+. Tristan A-. Yes, I agree says B. Santiago says A. Nick says B+. Keith says C grade. Turner kept this mock from getting an F. So I have a question for you, Keith. Why do you hate Will Johnson and Donovan Jackson so much? Tess says, I think there's potential for A+ if Ramsey stays. What does that mean? Adam says A+. I would snatch you handoff for that draft. Yeah, there's still a lot the Dolphins could do. There's a lot the Dolphins can do. All right, so we've been live for over 3 hours here. Do you guys want to do a Q&A? Do you guys want to do a Q&A? I don't see a world where Will Johnson's a safety. I'm going to have to disagree with Keith Jackson on that one. All right, so I see people want to do a Q&A. So what if we want to do a Q&A, we have to do this. because of our software, we have to either have your question and comment in the live chat. It has to have hashtag Dolphins in it or super chat. You guys can ask questions about the draft, free agency. It don't matter. Frank O'Connor with a $20 super chat. So that's one way. You can ask a question by super chatting, and I'll say this, folks. If you super chat, you will guarantee yourself a spot on the Q&A. If you use hashtag Dolphins, you'll likely get on, but there's no guarantee. Shout out to Frank O'Connor. So I'd say we have to get 9 or 10 questions to do this Q&A. We have 2. Frank O'Connor 1, Fins Up 2. Yes, I agree, number 3. So we've got 3 questions in. If O'Connor, Fins Up, or Yes, I agree, want to ask another question, go ahead. I've got no issue answering questions from multiple people. But I want to get as many people in. There's 60 people watching. Every noodle with a question. So we got 4. To shout out to Frank O'Connor, this question will lead off our mock draft. I'll lead it off. And like I said, we'll prioritize any super chats first. So we've got 4 questions. From O'Connor, Fins Up, Yes, I agree, and Every Noodle. Yes, I agree with another one. We got 5. Frank O'Connor with another question. Good one. Fins Up with another question. So what do we got now? We got those 3. We got 7, I think. And do you have the setting where it picks up the lowercase Dolphins too? Okay, cool. Soto, I'm sorry that I sided with him twice. It's no hard feelings, but it's just what I would preferably do. And when we had a split like that, I just went with my gut. Aaron Prince, that's a good question. You just got to use hashtag Dolphins in that question. Fins Up with another one. So that's now 8 questions. Once we get to 10, I think we'll get going. Taz with a question. I think that's 9. That's a 10th question from Yes, I agree. If the segment's running long, Justin, you don't need to show all 10. I just wanted to make sure we had 10 before getting rolling. Yeah, so order of operations on the day. Actually, we're sitting pretty good. We'll do this Q&A. We'll probably sign off. Do post-prod for that Q&A. We'll have that be the second Dolphins today. And then after that, I think we could use the final, hour of the day to maybe get some NFL draft prep done. And that will be our nice little Thursday heading into Friday. Be a nice day. All right. Yeah, I got it in there. I assume we got those weigh-ins too. Oh, I meant to do this. My bad. Let me change this because I don't want to go Rolly X into right away up to that question. So 1 to 2 minutes. Questions. All right, now we're good. Oh, Aaron Prince. I hate to ask it for you again, but if you want to be featured on the mock draft, there can't be a space between the hashtag and the Dolphins. So I'm sorry, Aaron Prince, for having to ask you it again. But if you want to get that question on, you have to have hashtag no space Dolphins. Justin Michael with a good question. Apparently, Sam is going to put in a full 4th round of mock draft of picks. So just make sure that the software doesn't crash when we do that. So we'll start it after that. Also, I'd be curious to see what I think he just gave random picks, but I want to see who he gave Miami. Oh, never mind. So should we wait until after they do that? Yeah, he said wait. Okay, so we'll start. You'll have a chance to continue to get questions in because we're not going to start until they get all the rounds in. That's what Brett said. Please wait a second to make sure data syncs okay through this process. It doesn't mess with computers. So we'll wait on that. Wait on this. Wait on this. Shout out to Frank O'Connor. Soto with another question. There we go, Aaron Prince. We got one thing we have to do is make sure Aaron Prince's question gets on there. Okay, we can't ask him to re-ask it twice and then not get it on there. So we'll make sure out of the 11, 12, 13 questions we have that he's one of the people that gets featured. We'll make sure of that. But let's start it. First question this one, because always prioritize the super chats first. Oh! I guess we'll wait to do we have to wait anyway, so that makes sense. My guy building fins up, the assistant GM, into the building. Justin, do you think you would have done a better or worse job than my 2 assistants, Jonathan Soto and Fins Up?
I think they did a great job.
I think they did a great job. Now, would you have differentiated with any picks that we made? I actually should have asked this earlier. I think you are on board with Will Johnson. I know you're not the highest on him personally, but because of the need for Miami, would you say Will Johnson was the right pick for us and you would have agreed with that?
Every pick that y'all 3 made, I was on board with.
Okay. I just didn't know if you would have rather gave Jahdae Barron to Miami. I like Barron a lot, but he is a hybrid nickel safety, maybe outside guy. And with Ramsey departing in all likelihood, you just need that confirmed outside corner, which is why I have Will Johnson above Barron. But, I mean, you have to sprint to the podium with Donovan Jackson there at 48.
Remember, I was a scout pounding the table.
Yeah, you were pounding the table with Jackson. And then I wouldn't have been mad if people said go with a safety or CJ West over Shamar Turner. Would you have gone Turner? I know you're not the biggest fan of Texas A&M, so would you have gone somewhere else?
From what was on the board, I was cool with that.
Cool. Now, if you were picking for Miami, would you have done Turner? I know you're cool with it, but would you have gone him?
Yeah, because they need a defensive tackle.
Okay. Well, shout out to my guy building fins up, the great assistant GM alongside Jonathan Soto. Well, that means we are going to spin that wheel. First wheel spin of the day. Let's see what happens. Listen, there's 5 push-ups on there. There's a beer bong. There's shots. There's 50% off the Super Chat menu. Unfortunately, just didn't get the one that you wanted to get today. But you know what? Because building fins up, sending $60 today, and was a great assistant GM through the process. Even though we got liked the video, which if you haven't already liked the stream, I'll do 5 push-ups for shits and giggles. I don't want him to be empty-handed. I don't want to be empty-handed. And we still have to wait. They're currently syncing round 5. Sounds like we're still working fine with the syncing happening. So, all right, let me know when good to go. Oh. All right. Let's go. What kind of should I do? Diamond. Let's do diamond. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, diamond push-ups done. Oh, my guy Barry B's in the chat saying Rolly at an airport bar, late as always. Shout out to you. Test says full extension. I went all the way down to the ground. What are you talking about? I'll watch the instant replay to confirm I went all the way to the ground. Oh, they didn't go far back enough. I'm watching the replay right now. Because I didn't know what I wanted to do first. Then we moved the hands closer. Yeah, what are you talking about? I was hitting all the way to the deck. He's just hating. He's trying to troll me. So, yeah, he even is saying LOL. I got all. I mean, it was only 5, but those diamond push-ups, my face was hitting the bottom. Brett saying quick recap at 4:15 or 4:30, talking about, I guess, as a group. Yeah. 4:30 makes sense. Because if we have to wait for all of this to sync, then, I mean, yeah, we'll do 4:30. I know it's not up to me, but if he's saying 4:15 or 4:30, I'd say 4:30 because I want to film a quick VOD live after all the syncing. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I love doing Q&As. Listen, we've had just so much to talk about here at the channel that when we've gone live on Tuesdays, we haven't really done a Q&A, but I feel like today's a good day to do one. We're hanging out here. There isn't any crazy segment or rumor that I wanted to do. Stojakovic enters the transfer portal. Where did he start? He was at Cal last year. Kevin Overton goes from Texas A&M to Auburn. That's actually a big pickup for the Tigers. Going on Twitter for the first time in a long. Feels like you don't go on Twitter for 3 hours and you're like crazy. So have we synced the 6th round yet? Barry B, hopefully you're doing good, my friend. What were you traveling to? If you don't want to say, you don't have to, but why are you traveling? All right, so it looks like we all survived. No lags, anything. We're still humming and moving. Sounds like it's going to be a 4:30 meeting, so we'll be good there. All right, we're about to answer a Q&A here shortly. All right, I think we're good to go. I know he said he's going to take them out, but they're all in and we're not in shambles, so I think we can get going. So when you're ready, Justin, let's do it. Remember, Game Time is the sponsor. And we'll answer some questions from the Dolphins fans, which is always fun. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us here on this Thursday afternoon. Next time you'll see us live is the actual NFL draft 1 week from today. We won't be doing a Tuesday live show. All right, when you're ready, Justin. Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. Miami Dolphins Q&A is this edition of Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Nic Rohloff. As we are 1 week away from the NFL draft, I wanted to answer the questions from Dolphins fans on the draft, trade rumors, and everything in between. We'll start with my guy, Frank O'Connor, who sent a $20 super chat on our live show, asking, would it be possible to trade Jalen Ramsey in our second or third round pick to get up into a first-round selection to take a better guard or defensive tackle in the first round? Okay, so it's interesting that you asked this question because looking at the trade value chart, let's just say the Dolphins want to trade up to the 28th pick. The value of that pick is labeled at $660. The second-round pick for Miami is $420. We have talked about Ramsey's value being about a fourth-round pick. Let's just say it's an early fourth-round pick. That puts it at $74. So if Miami wanted to add Ramsey to their second-round pick, which is, by the way, the Lions was a team I picked purposefully because they could be using a quarter, that would move the value up to about 500. So you'd have to find technically about 160 value points to trade Detroit to move back up into the first round. Now, that could be a free 2026 third-round pick. That could be your third-round pick. But if you wanted to trade back up into the first round, because those picks are so much more valued, you would probably have to offer your second-round pick, Jalen Ramsey, and your third-round pick to move up, let's say, from 48 to 28. So you're adding Ramsey in a third to 48 to get a first-round pick, or you trade a future third-round pick. Either way, in principle, it's a good idea. But with the Dolphins having such of a need at different positions like safety, O-line, defensive line, corner, I think it would be smart to trade Jalen Ramsey after the draft to a team for a 2026 pick and then just use your first 3 picks in the top 100 to go corner and trenches in any other order you want. So to me, it's possible. Do I want to do it? No, especially when you factor in the cap hit for Ramsey would jump up from 16.6 to about 27 million in 2025. All right. Make sure you do follow me over on Twitter/X, though, Nic_Rohloff. If you did not get featured on this mailbag, you could always ask me questions over on Twitter, either in my replies or my DMs. They are open. But I will also have you covered on all Dolphins news prior to making a video. So if Jalen Ramsey gets traded, well, we'll actually let you know about that on Twitter before we make a video on YouTube. So follow me over there now. All right, my guy Aaron Prince with a question here. Is it possible to trade Channing Tindall for a third or fourth round pick this year, then trade Ramsey to same team after first-round pick for a 7th next year? Okay, so 2 things here. I don't know if you got your players mixed up, but Channing Tindall is nothing close to worth a third or fourth-round pick. And Jalen Ramsey, it's much more valuable than a 7th-round pick. If I had to project the value on these two players to trade them, I would ironically flip them. I would think Tyndall is worth a 7th. Yes, he was a 3rd-round pick, top 100 guy a couple drafts ago, but he has just been so non-existent in the NFL for Miami. I don't think anyone would trade for him for a 7th, considering he's probably going to get cut this year. Maybe he's that 5th linebacker, but I could see him getting cut. And with Ramsey, if you trade Jalen Ramsey this year, I think you need to get a 3rd, considering the fact that you are taking on such a larger dead cap hit, and it cripples you financially a little bit in free agency if you trade him. So I'm going to require a 3rd-round pick, maybe even a 2nd-round pick to trade Ramsey in the next 7 days. But if you trade Ramsey post-June 1st, then I think his value would be like a conditional 4th-round pick, a 2026 4th that could rise to a 3rd if Ramsey is like an all-pro or a Pro Bowler. So that's where I think the value lies with those two individual players. My guy, Jonathan Soto, with a question. Does Miami still go corner and guard in free agency, even if they draft those positions in the first 2 rounds? Corner, yes. Guard, no. So I'll answer corner first. If you took Will Johnson at 13th overall, I think you should still try to sign one in free agency. Assuming you trade Jalen Ramsey, I do not trust a cornerback room of, say, let's just say Will Johnson / Jahdae Barron, Cam Smith, Storm Duck, Ethan Bonner, Artie Burns, and Kader Kohu. That's not a good unit. But if you go Will Johnson / Jahdae Barron alongside Asante Samuel Jr., Rasul Douglas, Stephon Gilmore, and then you have Kohu in your nickel with Bonner, Smith, Duck being your depth pieces, okay, then I'm fine with that. But if you did draft a guard in the first 2 picks, then I don't think you need to sign one. Because then ideally you have Paul at left tackle, draft pick at left guard, center Aaron Brewer, Daniels at right guard, Austin Jackson at right tackle, with Larry Borum as your swing, Andrew Meyer depth interior, Leon Eichenberg on the bench as a depth piece. And those are your 8 offensive linemen. So if they draft an offensive lineman in the top 50 to play guard, I do not think they sign one. But if they sign a corner, I think they should still sign a corner if they draft one at 13 or 48. All right, let me know. No, I know a lot of people are going to want to answer Will Johnson in the comment section, but maybe you guys want to switch it up, maybe not. Just let me know who you want the Dolphins to draft with the 13th overall pick. Get down in the comment section and let me know. All right, yes, I agree with a question. Any players you've seen mocked to the Dolphins recently that you're not on board with, whether it be a reach or not a scheme fit? So I think crapshoots are going to happen in the 4th and 5th round. So I'll focus on the mock drafts that I've seen in the first 3 rounds. And the ones that come to mind really aren't crazy. So in the last couple ESPN mock drafts, they've had Jahdae Barron / Will Johnson go at 13, and then Darius Alexander at 48, and Charles Grant at 98, which I think all 3 of those guys and 4 of those guys fit. I've seen Jeremiah go with Nick Rohloff at the Dolphins at 13. I think that would be a fit, but I do think Rohloff is a reach. Now, in our Chat Sports mock draft we did live on Thursday, Rohloff went 15th overall to the Falcons, but I do not think it is worth the Dolphins taking him at 13. If the Dolphins were to draft a safety that high, I would rather go Malachi Starks. But I will say a player I haven't seen mocked to Miami in a while, and that's a good thing, is Tyler Booker, the guard from Alabama. Because I do not want Tyler Booker whatsoever. I do not think he is good. Well, let me rephrase. I think he is good, but he is a horrific fit in the Dolphins scheme because he's a physical, mauler guard, not an athletic, swift, versatile guy, and that is required. I don't think he would fit in a zone run scheme, especially a wide one that Miami runs. So Tyler Booker is a player that is borderline off my board for the Dolphins because I think he'd be a horrible fit. All right, make sure you are subscribed and make sure you have your notifications turned on because we will be live for all 7 rounds of the NFL Draft. We'll be live on Thursday. We'll be live on Friday. We'll be live on Saturday, breaking down every selection Miami makes. They've got 10 picks in total throughout the 7 rounds. So make sure you subscribe and join us for those those streams because it'll be a lot of fun. All right, moving on to a different question. Dad Dean here. When do you think Jalen Ramsey will be traded? I think there's two options here. I think it will be on draft night or it will be after the draft. I don't think one gets done between now and Thursday night. Reason? Well, it's because of the cap situation, right? The Dolphins, I don't think, are going to be willy-nilly to trade Ramsey for a pick unless it's a second or early third-round pick in this draft because of that money situation, because their cap hit on Ramsey increases by $12 million, which basically takes away their ability to sign anybody in NFL free agency after the NFL draft. And I don't think Miami is interested in doing that at all. But if someone came in with a crazy good offer before the draft or on draft night, I'd say day 2 probably, like a late second round or an early third rounder, well, then Chris Grier and company might have to think about it. But I think it's more likely Miami waits till after the draft and processes the trade after June 1st so they don't have that crazy $12.5 million upcharge on Ramsey's cap hit, and they remain flexible in terms of their ability to sign a guard, safety, or trenchman in free agency after the NFL draft. But I also think teams outside of Miami would want to wait because they'll see how the draft unfolds, and if a team that needs a corner doesn't get a corner that they like and the board falls a specific way where they go in different positions, well, they're like, all right, we'll spin the block and trade for Jalen Ramsey. So I do think a draft trade is the most likely if one happens before June 1st, but I would give it a 65% chance that the trade happens after the NFL draft. More questions to be answered here, but we do have to tell you about our sponsor and official ticketing partner of Dolphins Today. That is Game Time. Game Time is the best way to get tickets, whether you're going to an NBA playoff game or a different event. Killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guaranteed. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA playoff tickets. Last-minute deals save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy shows, theater events, and more. You get a full panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly where you're sitting. They also have the lowest price guaranteed. If you find a ticket on a different app or service that's cheaper in the same exact section, row, seat, whole thing, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, building fins up with a question. What's up, my guy? Who do you think has potential to be needle-moving signings after the NFL draft? That's a great question. So we actually talked about this on a show Thursday morning. If you watched it, shout out to y'all. If you didn't, go watch it. It's still on the channel. I look at 3 positions. The biggest positions of need: corner, D-line, safety, offensive line. Well, the problem is that there's no defensive linemen in free agency that are very good, in my opinion. So I'll cross out that position, which is why I think you have to draft one relatively early or get a starting caliber player in the first 100 picks. But there are needle-moving signings at left guard and corner. I mean, Stephon Gilmore, Asante Samuel Jr. If you signed him, drafted Will Johnson, and your cornerback room is Asante Samuel Jr., Will Johnson, with Cam Smith, Ethan Bonner, Storm Duck as backups with Kader Kohu and the nickel, like that's a good corner room. I would actually feel relatively good about that corner room entering next season. I also think Brandon Scherf, if you didn't address offensive line in the draft, you go with that veteran at left guard, I'd feel like that's low-key a needle mover. Now, if you're talking about needle-moving signings that ultimately relates and gives you a championship or multiple playoff wins, no, I don't think any of those guys do that. But they make you a team that is projected to go under 8.5 wins this season to a team that will be fighting for a playoff spot if you grab an Asante Samuel Jr. or a Brandon Scherf. All right, let's move over to Taz C-Mac here. What positions are we going cheap on? And do you agree on the idea of going cheap on that position? It's actually a great question. And the answer, there's 2 positions that are abundantly clear: safety and tight end. Now, the tight end position I'm actually fine with because you have Jonnu Smith. You were lucky to get him on a cheap contract last year. You have Julian Hill on a cheap deal. You have Pharaoh Brown on a cheap deal. I don't think that's a bad tight end room, though. I think it's a fine tight end room. The other position that's going really cheap is safety. That's without a question. You have Fatu Melifonwu signed a 1-year, $4 million deal in free agency. Ashton Davis signed a 1-year, $2.5 million deal. Elijah Campbell came back on a 1-year, basically minimum deal, and you have a 6th-round pick, Patrick Morris, returning from last year's draft. So the total 4 safeties there don't even cost you more than $8.5 million. So that is a very cheap safety room. Do I agree with it? No, I don't actually. I like Melifonwu. I'm a little bit optimistic on Davis, but I think it would be serving Miami well to go with another safety, whether they sign Justin Simmons, sign Julian Blackmon, which I would do, or they draft a safety in the first 3 rounds. It's very interesting to see what Chris Grier does, but there's a clear, cheap direction at terms of safety for the Dolphins. We'll see at other positions because it's possible we go cheap there too. All right, what's your confidence level in Chris Grier, scale 1 to 10? I imagine the number might be low in the chat, to be honest, but I want to know what the people are thinking. Based off what I've seen over the last decade and what I've seen this offseason, I go 3.2. Not very high. He's hit on some picks in the first round. I go 3.2. Maybe that's a little bit low. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Every Noodle with a question. Waffles or pancakes? Ooh, I know you have a real question coming up next, but that's a tough one. We'll take an intermission. I'll go pancakes. Justin, I want to include you on the show today. Waffles or pancakes?
Pancakes every day.
So Dolphins Today agrees with pancakes. Tough call, though. All right, we'll move over to Jackson Slater as your second 4th-round pick, end of the 4th round. Jackson Slater, the offensive guard from Sacramento State. I don't hate him. There's upside there. He's got good athleticism, which makes him a fit in the Dolphins scheme. Now, I do think most projections would say he's a mid to late day 3 pick, so either late 5th round, 6th round, 7th round type of guy. I would be intrigued on taking the gamble with Slater. It's not really a gamble, it's a late pick. I guess a dart throw, you should say. With him maybe in the late 5th round pick, your second 5th rounder, or one of your 3 7th. I think 4th rounders are a little bit more rich. I think you could get like impactful players in the 4th round. To me, Slater would be a developmental guy, which is why I would probably wait to see if you get him on the later day 3 picks in the 7th or 5th round. Barry B with a question here. Who are the smartest draft picks that you think will be able to pick up this complex system and run with it? Okay, I will say this, Barry B. It's a great question. It is. The complex system that Miami has, I think it's complex on each side. I do. It's more complex on offense. And we're not really drafting offense high, right? Like, we have every position set offensively other than left guard. We have our running backs, we have our quarterbacks, tight ends, wide receivers, and we have 4 out of 5 starting spots on the offensive line filled. Now, the defense, although Anthony Weaver likes to mix things up, a safe pick to me would be Malachi Starks from Georgia. I also think a safe pick would be Will Johnson if you're looking in the 1st round, because I think Will Johnson is a very smart player that fits in a potential man scheme. It's a little more nerve-wracking if you run more man than zone. He's a better zone guy for sure due to his lack in speed. But I think you'd be able to pick up this Dolphin system. I think Malachi Starks, the versatility with him is endless. So I like him a lot. I'm thinking of 2nd-round guys that would pick up the scheme. Listen, these guys are smart players, man. And I think that's the most common misconception about NFL guys. These guys are really damn smart, and they understand the game of football individually better than we ever will as fans and as analysts, as insiders, if we're going to be honest. So I think that is not really a concern for me with any prospect, because I think if they're going to try to be good in the NFL, they'll be able to pick it up relatively easy. That's my 2 cents on the matter. All right, unfortunately, that will conclude our Q&A. A lot of questions, long video here. If you did not get featured on the on the Q&A, apologize. You have to be there for our live show on Thursday. If you weren't, you could always ask questions on Instagram. Dolphins Today IG is our handle. And also, like I said off the top, at my Twitter, Nic_Rohloff. We have other content on Miami outside of our YouTube shows on our 2 social media pages as well. So if you want more around the Dolphins, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And don't be afraid to hit me up and ask me a question. See you next Thursday for the NFL Draft. All right. That's it there. Q&A done. What a fun stream. We were live for almost 4 hours. We did a Q&A and a full 3-round mock draft here at Chat Sports. 55 people still watching. If anyone super chats in the next 30 seconds to a minute, we'll stay live. If not, we'll sign off. See you with videos every day leading up to the NFL draft. And that will be the next time we're live on the channel, is that 2025 NFL draft on Thursday. We'll give it 30 seconds to a minute. If anyone super chats, asks another question, keeps us live. Appreciate it. Yes, I agree. Have a nice weekend. Have a nice night. Apparently, Adam Schefter said you can't rule out Shedeur Sanders at 3. So after apparently being out of the top 3, it sounds like after that private workout, maybe the Giants are changing their mind.
Someone, please, 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 please trade up. That's what they're saying.
Maybe. Listen, I'd be interested. Okay, one more super chat from my assistant GM, building fins up. And then we'll head out of here, as we do have a company meeting in supposedly 5 to 6 minutes. Shout out to my guy, building fins up. Appreciate him. This was his other super chat. The new one still loading in here. All right. Building fins up. Willie Lampkin, thoughts? I like Willie Lampkin. Undersized offensive lineman from UNC. He is super undersized. But you look at his film, he was a dog. He went to the Reese's Senior Bowl and was one of the best offensive linemen there. And I think he would be worth a 4th-round pick. I would be willing to take the shot on Willie Lampkin in the 4th round or in the 5th round. Super undersized, but he's got a really good mentality. He's a great leader. He was a leading captain, I believe, for the North Carolina Tar Heels over the past couple of years. If the Dolphins did not go offensive line in the first 3 rounds, I would be all in on Willie Lampkin with that 2nd pick. Keith says, how do you super chat? There's a, underneath the stream, a box with a little money sign in it, Keith. Our bosses are calling us in for a meeting, so I'll give you 30 seconds to a minute, and then we got to head out for the meeting. But hopefully that answered your question on Willie Lampkin. I like him. I'd be willing to take the chance on him. Give it 30 seconds, and then we'll head out here because we're getting called in for a meeting. Hey, we said 4:30. It's 4:28. Come in. If you want to just pop out for this meeting, that's fine, and then come back in and make the cut. That's cool with me, too. Anthony, I just read that question about baseball and football. No, I don't see that ever happening. Don't see that ever happening. All right. Unfortunately, we do have to go because of our meeting with the bosses. Appreciate building fins up. Please, Jonathan Soto. Appreciate Frank O'Connor. It was a ton of fun doing this little simulation with you guys today. Appreciate Justin for being with us for this very fun, long stream. We'll see you live next Thursday for the first round of the NFL draft. We'll have videos out every day in between. But peace out, Dolphins fans. It's going to be a fun week ahead of us.